Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. Welcome to the live podcast. This is 101 Weekly 10 weeks. This is a 10-week drive now. And I'd like to welcome the panel. I'd like to welcome Bertram, who's live from New York. How you doing, Bertram?
I am doing well. I'm doing well relatively. We are in the Europa League, so it's as well as I can do. I'm doing okay. I'm trying to prevent myself from being in surroundings which may expose me to coronavirus. Otherwise, I'm great.
Yeah, yeah. And Tony, man, nice to see you, mate. What's going on, Tony?
Yes. Here as ever. Pleased to be here as always. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys. So chat's already starting to fill up. I'm just finishing my tests. Hold on a second. Right, I'm just finishing my test, so we're good to go. Right, guys, welcome back. And we've got a lot to get through today. And I just want to say we're in Ebony's absence again. She's in America, so she's not going to be back next week. So we just want to say on the back of that, have a good trip. And I hope you're going to tune in and get the replays of the show. So good luck, and hope everything goes well for you. And travel safely, Ebony. That's the main thing. That's the most important thing with that coronavirus out there. So guys, interesting week that has just gone by. And first of all, let's bring ourselves up to date. The invincible record is intact. Leicester lost. Chelsea drew. United drew. Spurs lost. A quick fill in from you, Bertram.
Well, it has been an interesting week. Liverpool losing was not necessarily shocking to me. Watford played them really well the first game. I should have won that game, actually, and lost the game. Was very pleased to see they finally lost. They played like how we played Olympiacos during the week, actually. Listless, not a lot of energy, just a day in the park, basically. And if you're complacent, that's what happens. You'll get beaten, especially in the Premier League where, players like Sarr actually are coming into their own. Delafio, who got hurt, was actually playing really well in the first half of the game. So interesting times, interesting game. And for us, another step backward after taking about 3 or 4 forward, which is very disappointing. I was actually at the airport searching for a feed coming from down south, trying to find a game. I found a game. Disappointed because we're down. They're calling me to go on the plane and I'm delaying, right? To get on the plane. Aubameyang score and I'm happy. I turned my iPad off. I go in and so let me just check to make sure it got complete and done. And I saw LENO kick the ball out and I'm like, oh no, not another set piece. And we know what happened from there. So disappointing week overall, actually, in terms of ultimately another chance to get into the top 4. Get to Champions League by another avenue other than through the PL go away. So tough week.
Yeah. Tony, what's your reactions on the results that have happened in the last few days?
In all honesty, I'm still in shock over the Olympiacos result. I'm pretty much similar to Bertram in that I wasn't as fortunate as Bertram to be flying around the world or into America, but I managed to only pick up bits and pieces of the game, and then managed to squeeze the extra time, and obviously went through that elation of seeing the Aubameyang goal, thinking, right, we just got to manage this now, see this out, and then to see what happened, and a LENO error leads to just pandemonium, and I'm still kind of recovering from that. The results this weekend seem to have gone in our favor, but yeah, it's still a bitter pill in my mouth, to be honest. I'm just, we will obviously go much more into this, but for me, just schoolboy errors have again caught us and bitten us in the.
Yeah, I think Vincey was lucky because he actually didn't see the Europa this week. I just want to just touch on a few things. I think that we were talking about getting that fourth or fifth place, and the defeats from Spurs and Leicester shows that those positions are vulnerable. The draws with Chelsea and United still show that these teams are going to be taking points off each other. So it's so imperative to us to go in there and just focus on that now. As regard to the Olympiacos result, I'm going to put my cards on the table. First of all, Vincey's saying Liverpool didn't have the mindset in Invincibles to believe that they could actually be in Invincibles over a season. And it had to take a brutal Man United to performance. And I was just about to come on to that. My thing was this, right? We went 49 games unbeaten, and every team was out for us. Every team was out for us to beat us. We know what it's like. We know that the pressure of keeping that unbeaten run going. I don't think Liverpool really fed off that too much, because you look, it wouldn't be bad if Liverpool today got beaten by, or this weekend got beaten by, a top team, but they got beaten by a team battling relegation. So that, I think that's what makes it weird. We got beaten by our rivals, our foes, which was Man United. In the turn of the millennium, it was Arsenal, Man United, Arsenal, Man United. It was that kind of to and fro, battling for the title, and then they were the ones that eventually took us down. But it was a relegated team that took Liverpool down. That's the shock for me. That's the shock.
Yeah, I think the team, though, I think Deeney may not be the best player, but Deeney's a leader, and they follow Deeney. And if you watch the game, he imposed himself on the defense. He's not afraid, and they were not afraid given how they performed at Anfield when they played them last. So to me, it wasn't a total shocker, even though they played poorly the previous week. I think they got beaten about 3. But they played well, and they have some good players. Delafield, you have the core, who I think we should pursue, frankly. He's a box-to-box midfielder. Deeney playing well, Sarr coming to his own. So, look, I think Liverpool had a great run, but the record is still intact, and we're still invincible. There's only one invincible. Yeah, you have too many invincibles, then invincible kind of get watered down, actually. So
I totally agree. But I think it's one of those things, Tony, that, like I said, when you haven't been beaten, teams should be turning up, whether it be home or away, to take your crown. And I don't think we've seen that this season. I don't think that everyone that's been playing Liverpool, it's sometimes like they've been afraid to lose. And then Liverpool jump on top of them and then they lose. Watford really had a go. They came right at them out of the breaks. If you actually watch the game, they could have scored 2 or 3 goals. My man was on his hat-trick and just missed out. Oh, if he was just a little bit more clinical, he could have had a hat-trick. But Liverpool were in trouble before that. And at no point did Liverpool, for me, look like they were going to win that game. And it's hard because why hasn't anybody approached them with that kind of mentality? Like, we're gonna beat you down. You're not gonna go through the season unbeaten. We're gonna stop you. We're gonna be known as the team that stopped Liverpool going through the season unbeaten. Where was that mentality?
Well,
that Mamba mentality.
I thought Embry in the first game we played him, when he played Pepe up top, if Pepe had scored, it may have been a different game, right? Because when you're on the back foot, it's a different game. He played Pepe up top. Pepe got breakaway, didn't put it away. They got into their own and the game changed. So, But I think teams try, but they're a good team, right? And they lose Henderson. People underrate Henderson.
Yeah,
he actually plays both ways. He's a box-to-box midfielder. He's their leader. So they lost part of their heart, actually.
So listen, the fallout. Yeah, go on.
I mean, for me, I think this boils down to how much effort did R49 have to put in compared to how much effort Liverpool's have to put in. I have to take my hat off and say, well done, Liverpool. Fantastic achievement in succeeding in 44 unbeaten. Yeah. The football has been phenomenal. And in the midst of that, they won the Champions League and the World Club Cup football and the Super Cup final. So they played a hell of a lot of football. And I kind of think it was going to tell at some point on their legs. Because one thing is clear, Jurgen Klopp doesn't play around with his formation and he doesn't play around with his personnel in like we had to when we were champions. I think we used a lot more players during our 49 unbeaten run.
Yep.
You know, but Klopp is stuck with his guns, and that same starting 11 has deviated very little. And it seemed to me like it was just a matter of time before those legs were going to get found out.
Yeah. And
I think it's a very important issue that you think about. And to be honest, I look at us now and look at our position and say, right, well, unable to challenge at the top. Squad right now is unable to compete in that physical way. We can't run for 90 minutes. At 70, 80 minutes, a lot of our players are finished. And it's quite phenomenal that we went 130 minutes or 120 minutes the other day. And we're still able to score at that point, because I was very much thinking, do you know what? We'd be in trouble this week if we had Man City this weekend. If Man City weren't playing in the cups and we had to play them this weekend, we'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, because
our
we
legs
were leggy.
would be dead.
Yeah, we literally dead. We were coming off the back of 3 games in 7 days, and I was shocked that
absolutely
we didn't see more
those
rotation.
Kind of things. Yeah, and and you've got to say to yourself, I kind of expect to see a complete new 11 on tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because we're playing a team who are in the third tier of football, and you kind of go, those players who play Thursday night will be completely shot. Their emotions, their physicality will be completely at an end. They need 3 or 4 days off. So the whole thing with the speed and tempo of the game, the physicality of the game, I think has bared its brunt on Liverpool eventually, and I kind of felt that was going to happen at some point in time.
And we saw the cracks, Tony, because remember, they lost in the Champions League.
Exactly.
Yeah, from there you could see, hold on, what was going on? I just didn't see that zip and that bite and that energy off the ball that we normally see from them, which is definitely been a standpoint of their performances over the last year. I was like, what is going on there? And that's when I thought that we might see a problem. Didn't know it was going to come from Watford. But listen, big shout out to Spitfire J in the chat room. He's in Barbados at the moment, so it's like everybody traveling, getting their travels done before the coronavirus rears its head. Nice one to see you, mate. Nice one to see you. And big shout out to Mancini in the chat room, man. Big shout out to you as well, my bro. So listen, our overall feelings with the Olympiacos result. You go ahead and summarize it, Bertrand.
Well, look, I think Arteta has made progress since he joined and managing us. The Olympiacos result was not shocking, actually. If you remember the first game, they had chances, especially in the first half. It's not like we dominated them. They're a decent team. Obviously, they lead in their league. But it's extremely disappointing when you're Arsenal, given her a legacy, given her a background, given her supposed qualifications, that we are losing in basically the second round of the Champions League, which affects you in a number of different ways. Because if you think about it holistically, why would I want to go play for Arsenal, who may not even be in the Europa League next year? Forget about Champions League. That's one. Secondly, hurts you from revenue standpoint. If you look at our turnover, I think was almost 100 mil less than Tottenham's, which is shocking.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Puma Adidas deal will kick in this year, and that will help somewhat. But we're falling behind. So think about Man City and Liverpool and Chelsea and Man U. We're now falling behind Tottenham, and that stadium they have, even though they have debt in the stadium, is a cash cow.
Yeah.
So we have to think a little more strategically about where we are and where we're going. And this result only emphasizes the fact that we're falling further and further behind.
Yeah,
I watched Wolves play today. Go ahead.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on. No,
I watched Wolves play today.
Yeah.
And as I calculated, our forward line is about 220 plus pounds, actually. I like to use dollars. So I call it 250, 260, almost $300 million, actually. That's a lot of money for a forward line, the most expensive forward line in the Premier League in probably history. and they're not producing. So we keep beating up our defense that we leak goals, but we also not scoring goals. So if you're not scoring, you're not leaking, obviously you're going to lose. And we really have to spend some time, I think Sanili and Edu want to spend some time really reconsidering, refiguring, how do we move forward? How do we make sure we put the team together that's athletic and that has the skill, like a Man City or Barcelona, to compete at the very top? Because right now, I think Tony was mentioning this, our midfield, slow, plodding, can't get by anyone, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't help you in today's environment. You look at Man City today against Aston Villa, and Man City against Real Madrid, dominant when it comes to retaining the ball. We don't have that capability. So it's very frustrating. This result only is a trend we're seeing, which is we got a lift with a new manager, and we won obviously the week before, but it's in that area where I don't know where we're going actually. I don't see a clearly defined strategy going forward.
And I think is I probably differ with that, although I agree with you that we are, and I said this in my last 2 YouTube videos, I said Arteta's only been there 2 months, and he hasn't even got his players ready. He hasn't brought in any players that he wants to in order to facilitate the system and the philosophies he wants to run. He's trying to change a culture that's been broken for many years, since before when Wenger left. He's trying to change that, and that's a very hard thing to do because even the players he brought on loan in terms of Mari and Suarez, they haven't even played yet. So it's a very difficult thing. But what I do see is, and I was very critical under Unai Emery for 2 reasons. One, because all the instability and chop and change, and he ran 4 or 5 formations while he was here, and we didn't have an identity. We never really did have an identity. Ever since Arteta's walked through the door, we've played a 4-2-3-1. That's it. We have never changed that. We ran a hybrid against Olympiacos 4-3-3 at times and shifted back. We also did against Everton when Everton put 5 men in the middle. Then we shifted to a hybrid 4-3-3 as well. But Arteta's system and identity is solid. So that's number 1. Number 2 is the actual work rate and execution, the direction he's given Arsenal. We are so much better without the ball than we've ever been. And even under the Wenger, we weren't this good. We never worked this hard. So for those reasons, I feel that we're building the foundation and the building blocks for next season. Because the template has been set. So in that way, Bertram, I think that we have made improvements because this has never been us. You know, when we beat Chelsea, when we played Chelsea and we played Man United in Arteta's first few games, we actually had less possession than those teams. So we weren't dominating those games in that respect. But since then, Arteta made a thing about us going out and dominating teams. And that's what we've been doing. We've been so hungry off the ball, and we've been showing teams, we've been just pushing at teams, pushing our chest up on them and trying to dominate them. And it hasn't always worked out. But I think we've got some template for who we want to be. And considering that this team was broken from a long time ago, I think Arteta's really done well with what he's got. Remember, we lost a game to a LENO mistake. We went 10 games unbeaten, and the game that we lost before that was, guess what? Chelsea, which was to a LENO mistake. So it's the same guy has lost us 2 games, and had that not had
so
happened.
I want to say, again, this is my reaction to that game. There are some crazy things going on at Arsenal. Why have we got Pablo Mari in, and to this day he's still not on the bench of a game?
Yeah.
You know how excited I was on the 31st of January to see this guy walk into our change room and go, "I'm here, guys." I was like, you know how we talked about this straight after.
Yeah.
It was like, my God. It was, to me, it was going to be the definition of our season was integrating Mari into our defense. And what have we lost out on? We lost out because Mustafi, who was having a good game, has gone injured, and we've had to bring in somebody who we know just ain't good enough. because Socrates has been found culpable again. Yeah, Socrates is culpable again for allowing his man to waltz in and get a goal.
He's done.
Leno,
he's finished. Yeah, he's finished.
Leno,
Isn't ironic that we're saying Mustafi got injured and we're returned?
I never thought I'd live to see the day.
How crazy is that? How crazy is that? You know, we had Mustafi dead man walking, yeah, and then Arteta has managed to get this guy to play a tune, and all of a sudden, when he does get injured, we throw back in the worst player, and you're like, well, hang on, we got all these options that we were supposed to have brought in. The most important thing we should have done in January was solidified the defense.
Yeah.
And we look like we did it, and all of a sudden we come a cropper because we haven't got a decent centre back. Yeah. I just don't get this. I really don't get it. What was the point of getting a guy in January who by March still isn't integrated into the team? Because you've only got 5 months of football to play.
That's a good point.
It just baffles the hell out of me. It baffles the hell out of me. Because in 5 months' time, guess what he's going to say? Well, for 3 months I didn't play. Yeah?
Yeah.
And 5 months down the line, you're out of Champions League, you're out of Europa League. Why am I going to sign with you?
Yeah. I think that
maybe the strategy. Maybe the strategy is we get loans in to appease the fans because we are poor when it comes to loans.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Think about historically where we are now.
Guys, the news is that we're actually decided to finalize a contract with him on a permanent deal. I think that news only dropped on Friday morning. So that's definitely something that's happening now. Whatever they've seen, remember, he's played 2 games for the under-21s. One game he really struggled in at the beginning. But they obviously he's in practice every day. They've seen what they've seen. And he should have come in. Tony is completely 100% right. He should have come in and played instead of Socrates. Socrates is dead man walking at the moment. He came in at right back the other day and did an okay job in the first leg. But he should not have come on the field and played in that game when Mari could have been an option. And unfortunately, we haven't seen him 2 months now. We're in March. We got him in January. And 5 weeks the man's been here and not even played yet. So it's a real shame. I really don't. There's no excuse for that. And the whole thing about the team sheet as well is Arteta playing the same tired legs. I didn't think that worked as well. But as I said, I think there's lessons to be learned from this, from the players and the manager. I definitely think Bellerin shouldn't have been playing. I don't think that Xhaka should have played. Xhaka, had he got a yellow card, would have been missing the quarterfinals in that game. So there's certain things that would have happened which I didn't agree with. But listen,
I hope everybody gets to learn from that. The lateness of Martinelli, I just don't get it. Lacazette was clearly not on song during the entire 90 minutes. Yeah. Martinelli has to be introduced before the end of the game. As far as I'm concerned, the guy's so dynamic.
Yeah.
You know, he's so dynamic that you have to bring him on as soon as you see that things aren't quite going because you're not getting that energy at the top end of the pitch.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, what frustrated me as well is Lacazette had another poor game. And at no one point in that game did he show me. Obviously, he got onto the Saka cross where Saka was offside. But at no point in that game did he show me anything at all. And what was frustrating for me was I've watched 2 games from Eddie Nketiah where I've seen him defend and run and help and support the midfield, and where I've seen him run into the box trying to get on the end. And I didn't see anything like that from Lacazette. And you know what? Fair enough. But then get rid of him after 60 minutes or so. We didn't do that. We just left him on there. And when Martinelli came on, Martinelli did more in 5 minutes than Lacazette did in the whole game. I just don't.
So goes back to the point about my assessment of Arteta. It's not all good. There's some very good elements. There's some very good things he has done. But right down the middle is where we're poor. Between Ozil and Lacazette, non-existent in games. And you have to be, that's where you need to be at your best. Because think about it. The straight point between 2 lines, the straightest point is the straight line to get to the goal. You have to come out wide with Aubameyang and with Pepe. We have Ozil in the middle. We have Lacazette in the middle. There's nothing happening in the middle. And it's very frustrating watching games where we're not getting by players. We're not scoring goals. And he plays those same two players every game. Play Willock. Actually, I think you should play Pepe in the 10 role and play Nketiah in the 9 role. They're both dynamic. Pepe, think about it. He's gonna get by. I watched City played, and I watched them go forward. And if you see it, De Bruyne going forward, getting by players. Mahrez, actually, in the game they played the other day where they scored, he beat the first man. The whole defense collapsed to him. He plays the ball out wide. It creates one-on-one situation. We have none of that. Everyone gets raving about how Ozil keeps the ball. Yeah, in a little poodle, in a little to the side, spinning around like a little gig, and goes nowhere. I'm sorry to be so critical, but it's very frustrating watching us not being dynamic, not moving the ball forward to create opportunities, and that's why we're not scoring goals.
Yeah, I fought against Olympiacos, and I complained about this even on the last video. The support from Bellerin to Pepe was so poor. Pepe was having to do everything by himself on that right-hand side. And it wasn't until half an hour, 25 minutes to go that Arteta realized it, and he put Ozil over on that side to support him on the overlap. And we were much, 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 much better with Pepe and Ozil on that right side. Because remember, Aubameyang is supporting Saka on the left side. And this is the thing about Pepe, which makes him such a phenomenal player. Everything that he's done on the right has just been by himself. He's had no support from Bellerin whatsoever. And the frustration is we didn't even see Maitland-Niles on that team sheet, which I don't even, anyway, I didn't give Arteta a good grade for that game. I thought he could have done a lot better in regards to the preparation and the team sheet as well. Knowing the players were tired, I thought that was poor. But he's only been the manager for 2 months, so far I like what I see. There's definitely more yays than nays as Arteta goes. So listen, guys,
don't disagree, but think about a forward line of Martinelli, Pepe, Aubameyang, and Nketiah. That's your front four. With Pepe playing in the 10 role, and you just place Torreira and Xhaka to defend. Supply the balls out to the wing, supply the balls to the and defend. Those 4 dynamic go forward. Even create a little space between the midfield and the forwards. Go at the defense. They all can score goals. They're all athletic. They're all skillful. Lacazette is slow. Ozil is Ozil. I said the other day he's past his prime. I should say way past his prime.
So Emery, and nice to see you, Emery, in the chat, is saying whether he plays on the wing or number 10, Pepe needs to start being more direct. And I've been saying this for weeks. I love me some Pepe, but there's things that he does better than Walcott, and there's things that Walcott did better than Pepe, and that's why Walcott scored so many goals. And Pepe, if you just kick the damn ball forward and take on your man in front of you, you'd be able to get behind that line. For me, Pepe's not getting enough one-on-one opportunities with the goalkeeper. And that's because he's not making the runs behind the back line, 1. And 2, he's not darting forward and making direct runs into the goalkeeper. Nice, Alex, man. Nice to see you in the chat. Nice one, my brother. So for me, I think Pepe needs to be developed, but I trust that Arteta would work on him in the same way he has with Raheem Sterling. I really do. But Pepe's raw. He's raw, and there's more to come from him. Jay, I know you're listening in the chat, man, and I know Pepe ain't your favorite cup of tea, but listen, he's coming, bro. He's coming. 6 goals and 8 assists for Pepe this season, yeah?
Hey, Apollo, here's what people are missing. I watched Zaha play for Palace yesterday. There are 3 people marking Zaha. If there are 3 people marking you, that means 2 of your players are free. We don't create those mismatches. Pepe gets the ball, he always double teamed. Because you can play Ozil one-on-one and play him at all. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but remember,
you have to create mismatches, right?
Yes, I agree. But remember, the goal came from the amount of pressure. Once we slipped Ozil in for the overlap to support Pepe, the dynamic was Saka and Aubameyang on the left, Ozil and Pepe on the right, and Olympiacos, they couldn't live with us at that point. We should have scored 2 or 3 goals in that last 15, 20 minutes. We were all over them, and the goal was coming. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I don't disagree. Alex is saying, with or without the help from Bellerin, Pepe just does not release the ball quick, and that's true. We talk about how slow and how smart he tries to get with the ball when he does them shimmies. He needs to be more direct player. I totally agree. The one thing with Theo Walcott was, because Walcott wasn't the best or the most skillful player, he did one thing good, and that was knock the ball forward and scare the living daylights out of you by running into space. And if you look at his goals that he scored, how many times did he run behind those, the left back and the centre back? He was right in between those, got the ball sent through in the middle, and that creates the one-on-one against the goalkeeper, and the rest is history with him. 108 goals from Theo, and Pepe isn't doing that. He's not challenging, making those runs. He's not as a direct player as I thought he was. But as I said, that will come with coaching. That really will. So, guys, listen, what's our targets now? What's our realistic targets? Bertram, I heard you say that we might not even finish in the Europa Cup, but Spurs might not finish in the Europa Cup. In fact, I'm almost certain now that Spurs are going to finish outside of the top 6. What's your realistic goals? And also, guys in the chat as well, what do you think realistically we can achieve this season?
Look, we can achieve 5th, right? I mean, it's a mess. That's what I call it. Apart from City and Liverpool, everyone is vulnerable. Leicester's falling off. Chelsea's up and down. Sheffield plays well, but they draw a lot of games. Tottenham doesn't have Kane, but I've heard recently that he's going to come back earlier than
they don't have Song.
Thought.
They don't have Song. Song is their best
They don't
player.
have Song, and he's probably out for the season. You're right. Man U actually looked good with Fernandes. And they played Everton today. They actually played better than Everton did today. Everton is playing well. If you think about the team that are in front of us, all 9 apart from Brighton, I'm sorry. Everyone has a chance to be in that top 4, frankly.
Yeah.
Our top 5. And I wouldn't discount Spurs, actually, because they
are
trying to. No, they're ahead of us, so they can't be dead. You never know.
But, they're ahead of us when they had Kane and Song. Now they haven't got Kane and Song. Just be prepared to see them sink lower and lower and lower and lower. We know it. Spurs fans know it, and Jose Mourinho knows it, which is why he's starting to rear his ugly head. Third-year syndrome, when he starts to turn on the fans, the players, and the owner. We're already seeing those horrible traits starting to come out of Jose Mourinho, because he knows he's got no hope at the moment. Yeah.
If Arteta play the team I suggest would make top 5. If he doesn't, we won't.
So
if he keeps playing Lacazette and Ozil, we will not make top 5.
Interesting. Kez is saying top 4, top 5 is definitely a possibility. Alex, 7-play finish for Arsenal without any trophy. You think so, Alex? It really depends on what happens with our next few league games. I really do. I mean, obviously we're still unbeaten in the league. Yeah, the last game we lost was against Chelsea, so we've still got that run in the league, which is very good. I think now we're the only unbeaten team in the league this year, so we still have a lot of clout to take into the league. We're as far as current form goes, the form team in the league.
Dude, you're turning into one of them statos that finds the most apt
yeah, I am.
Statistic for the moment. It's like, wow. How many statistics can you? Oh, but it's just become a little bit functional. How we can pull a statistic out to say, oh, but we haven't conceded a corner in 692 minutes, or we've not had a headed goal for 16 years and 3 minutes and 22 seconds, and we can all go and find amazing statistics. Preston North End, I see they were posting up yesterday, still got the first unbeaten run, but it's like literally, if you put your mind to it, we can all find some amazing statistics on anything.
But not losing is the most important, Tony.
No, I disagree 100%.
Not losing is the most important.
Okay, so we have what, 13 draws? No,
yes.
We have 13 draws.
Yeah.
If we lost 6 and won 7, we'll be much better.
That's exactly right.
Versus 13.
You're absolutely
Unfortunately, Bertram, that's not the case. I'm saying it because of confidence. We know when this team had won 2 games in their last 16, our confidence was we couldn't buy a win. We all know that. We all went through it in the new year. No matter how well we played or how much effort we put in, and that wasn't a lot, we just didn't have the confidence. Now this team's playing with confidence because they're trusting that they're getting backing from the fans. They understand the philosophy. They understand the systems. We have an identity. it's the confidence builder of not losing in the league is good. It's good. It's a good stat.
Yeah, but we're still. I'm gonna go with what Bertram says.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Bertram. I have to support you whole 100%. You know, I'm not saying that Arteta's doing a bad job, but just saying we haven't lost. You're papering over cracks. You're papering over cracks when you think, well, have I got to look forward to seeing Socrates coming back in for the next league game? You know, because that fills me with all kind of trepidation. Yeah? Have I got to look forward to seeing Lacazette getting another run out in the next home league game? That fills me with trepidation.
So, Tony, it doesn't sound
all very well saying.
So, Tony, it doesn't. Obviously, the question is, what are our realistic targets for this season now? It doesn't sound like by your comments that you think that 5th or an FA Cup win is plausible.
I'm just not going to count my chickens.
Yeah.
I'm not counting my chickens. It's all very well saying 5th and 4th are possible. Potentially points-wise, we could come 3rd. Yeah?
That'll be
Leicester lost this weekend to Norwich. Yeah? So, technically, if we go on a good run, yes, everything is possible. However, we still have Socrates. We still have Xhaka. We've got the most error-prone goalkeeper in the league.
Yes.
Yeah? We have a striker who doesn't score goals. And with these things, I don't know where we're going to finish.
Well, Socrates.
Okay?
Well, Socrates.
There are teams.
So hold on. So let's address that. Socrates hasn't started in the last 3 Premiership games. Mustafi has. That's one. Lacazette hasn't started in the last 2 Premiership games. Nketiah has. That's probably the second.
So
point.
Was not the Europa League more important than the league?
I agree.
Because what that tells me is, that tells me I've got more confidence in Lacazette than I have in Nketiah, because I'm putting Lacazette in the more important game and play in Nketiah in the less important game.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with you. 100%. I think the team sheet was wrong, and I think they paid for it. And even with Martinelli, why on earth? Martinelli is a man that's got 10 goals this season. How are you going to start Lacazette in that game? And not just that. Okay, so you've started him, but over an hour, he's shown you nothing. Nothing. And you still...
So Apollo's making the argument that Arteta is not... he's getting lauded, and rightly so, in terms of the structure. But he's made some decisions which is scratch your head. He's made some scratch your head decisions. But the fact that he has Martin on the bench for almost the entire game...
Bertram, you would expect that, though, because he's only been a manager for 2 months. Wouldn't you expect that?
When Emery got the job, because Emery came in with PowerPoint presentation and almost a encyclopedic knowledge of us, how we played, and all the players. Arteta interviewed for the job the last time. When you go to interview for a job, you do your research, you do your background check, you make sure you're informed. So when you go, you put your best foot forward. He has played with some of these players. He knows the players. He knows the organization. He knows the structure. He knows the team. I'm not using the excuse that, you know what? He's new. He's only been in the job for 2 months. He's been in the job for about 3 or 4 years. He just didn't assume the role physically, but he knows the team. He's played against us. He should have come into the job well-informed, knowing exactly what he wants to do, who he wants to play. There's a reason why Emery didn't play Ozil. I keep beating up on Ozil. There's a reason why he didn't play him.
But
because he knows,
didn't it? It made the team worse. Statistically,
he played. When he played Neymar, he damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? He played Neymar. Neymar undercut him, lost the team. He lost the job.
Yeah, because that's Neymar's team.
Yeah, exactly. He reversed that here because he think he had more autonomy not to play Ozil, and Ozil not playing well. It backfired also. So look, it's a no-win situation for him. I think Arteta has done a good job, as I said, in terms of the structure. I don't think some of his decision-making and his team selections have been best.
Yeah, and you know what? He'll continue to, as like any new manager, he'll continue to learn through that process. And that's why I think, actually, the latter part of the season would be a good learning tool for him to refine that, to make a run at the title next season. people don't think that we're good enough to make a run at the title next season. But I'm sure that Arteta will work towards that. He hasn't come here to go by the numbers. His expectations as far as being successful goes, he spent the last 3 seasons at Man City. He knows what good looks like. He knows what turning up to practice every day, being the first one in and the last one out. He knows the philosophies. He knows what works. And he's come to Arsenal and hopefully shown that winning mentality is what it needs, what it takes to get the job done. But I would be fair to say that we can only really judge him on next season. What I like at the moment now is he's building those foundations that I talked about. But as far as the question goes, what's possible for this season? Where can we finish up? I think Emrian says, hold on, gone that. Emrian says, also, 5th probably won't be good enough as a Champions League. City ever good. No, it won't be overturned, mate. Even if they appeal, from what I've been told by a few agents, even if they appeal, it might be slashed in half, which still means that they'll miss a year. But I doubt if it would go through the appeal, because they lied, they broke the rules, and then they lied to try and cover it up. And that doesn't stink of letting anybody off. Had they had some tangible proof to go in their defense, then they would have had a successful appeal. But right now, even the pundits know, match of the day, Sky Sports, everybody knows that City is doomed as far as missing out on the Champions League. The only decision now is, will they make it 1 year or 2? We know the sentence is 2. The only difference is, will they be less harsh and pull it back a year? That's the only thing that can happen. And if that happens, 5th place is still going to give you Champions League.
I think for City, I mean, they were compromised, right? Someone infiltrated their system, got evidence to substantiate that they broke the rules. I think the evidence is probably irrefutable.
Yes.
They're trying to use as many lawyers as possible and spend a lot of resources trying to overturn the verdict. I could think it will stand. Maybe not 2 years to say, but at least for a season.
Yeah. Alex is saying, however, we must not make this current squad of players to be a good squad, only for them to let us down. I think, again, we go back to the Arteta factor there. Your job as a manager is to get players to punch above their weight. Wenger couldn't really get he let the players go out, gave them freedom to express themselves. That's not really getting the best out of players. And Emery didn't. Emery couldn't get the best out of the players, and we could see how that capitulated. Arteta has got them to do things differently. But I'm absolutely sure, just as Tony said, and as you said as well, Bertram, this isn't Arteta's dream of success, these players. They're really not. He has got in the back of his mind the players that he thinks will have to be brought into Arsenal Football Club in order to make this club successful. And a lot of them are not currently playing for the club right now. So we'll go through that transition as we move forward. Alex is saying he's got his concerns about the board backing Arteta. Well, that was cleared up in the job interview process. The reason why Arteta didn't take the job in the first place is because they wouldn't let him be a part of the transfer internal process, and they are doing that now. So I think Arteta's got the full support of the board. Vincey is saying, your ref saved us many times at the whistle under Emery. Yeah, and look, we can go into VAR and the refs and everything. At the end of the day, the players just didn't respond to Emery, and that's why he's not here anymore. Kez is saying, why are other clubs not making a lot of noise over the City ruling? We're being too nice. And I know, and the fact that Wenger was shouting, which is strange, Wenger was shouting about them cheating from day one. And all of the managers was probably just like, look, they got too much in the money in the game and there's not much we can do. Yes, there is. In Formula One, when you're cheating, do you think the other teams let you go by without saying nothing? Everybody turns against you in the paddock. Everybody's reporting you for every little thing that's wrong with your car. In the Premier League, you just don't have that. Everyone just sort of going by the numbers and just dismissing the fact that City have been cheating. So look,
I have mixed feelings about them cheating. The rules are the rules, but I don't know how you cheat with your own money. I struggle with that. I must admit. Now you put the club in debt. Man U has debt, Tottenham has debt, and yet City is cheating, spending their own cash. It's
but I mean, you cheat because there's a process in place that you've not adhered to, and other teams has. You cheat because
with the rich teams. So Apollo, think about it this way. So you're a billionaire, right? and you want no one else to be a billionaire. So you create rules to prevent that from happening. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Man U. You know you have your turnover. A team will never get to your status unless they can create that brand to do so. So you put these rules in place to say, you know what, we're trying to prevent the Portsmouth from happening.
Yes, correct.
These status from happening. That's why we do it, under the guise of you maintaining the status quo.
Tony, I'll let you come in here.
I mean, this whole thing just stinks. The whole financial fair play situation just stinks, and I think Emery has kind of alluded to that point with him saying PSG, Milan, and Galatasaray have all beat UEFA in that regard, and it's so clear. You know, look at the amount of money that Paris Saint-Germain are putting in. It's ridiculous. It's just clear that the financial fair play rules are just being flouted by people who just got clever money allocation.
Yes.
It's what's really strange is I don't know if you guys saw the end of the Bayern Munich Hoffenheim game.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened? All about financial irregularities.
Mm.
15 minutes played with no, you know, and you're like, well, people can say what they like as loud as they like, but money talks.
Yeah, it does.
You know, nobody's finding Hoffenheim. You know, the fans have had their say. The players have had their say. But at the end of the day, these teams, when they've got the money talks.
Yeah. And that's why these teams over the years have been able to get off with it in the same way that Ferrari has in Formula One. They threaten all the time, we're going to leave, but they would never, ever let a team like Ferrari leave Formula One. And those teams, like what you guys are saying, I agree with, the teams in the upper echelon of earnings and spendings who aren't really affected by, they're never going to close down. These top 5 teams in Europe would never go bust because they earn too much money. And all they want to do is have the ability to spend all of the money that they earn. Arsenal's got £290 million surplus cash in the bank, and they haven't spent it because of the fair play rules. They've adhered to the rules. Some of those other teams haven't. And as Emery says, they've got lawyers working around the clock to try and find loopholes around it. But I think with the Man City thing, had those emails not been recovered, they would have got away with it. They would have got away. They would have got scotch-free away, but then get catch. And that's what I think is the whole thing. The fact that UEFA has had their pants, their Y-fronts pulled over their face in the front of the whole world football. And we have to see something happen there. And even if they cut the sentence in half, it still means a ban. It's really, really interesting to see how this works out, Tony.
What kind of message does that show? If you're going to say, well, I tell you what, you've been caught with your hands in the pie, but if you appeal with enough gunpowder behind you, we'll cut this sentence in half. Imagine that. I murdered a man, but I turn up at the sentencing and I say, I tell you what, I want an appeal. I'm coming with 50 million lawyers, half the sentence.
Yeah.
Only because I got a lot of people behind me. Now, that's not to say that doesn't happen in real life. It does. But look at what the message says. If I can come with enough guns and armory, I can get off with my sentence.
Yeah.
And there's another thing here. Yeah, there's another more important message here is to say, I tell you what, I'll pull the wool over UEFA, the European governing body, but my internal body that manages the Premier League won't even bother looking at the situation. Because guess who's had the unfair advantage?
Yes, I totally agree. And we've seen in athletics where athletes have been stripped of their gold medals. We've seen it. It happens. But in football, we've seen maybe 1 or 2 points deductions, which Kez is saying. Kez is saying they need a points deduction. And we have heard, Trevor Bookin was talking about this 2 weeks ago, saying the FA are now looking into it because of what you said, Tony. Not only have they cheated and seeked an advantage, but they've won titles on top of it. I don't think they'll get stripped of titles. I think I'd be surprised if they do, but I think they'll get some kind of points deduction. I think that's coming. But I would be so annoyed if nothing gets done. If this is all swept under the carpets because of the lawyers, I swear to God, I would have such a hatred for this game that I'm not even going to say what would be possible. I love the NFL. I love the NBA. I love those leagues because there's parity. And parity means that everything trickles downwards. The worst teams get the first choices. Everything is spreaded around. The wealth is spreaded around. That has never been the case in football. Never. And the one little thing that they try to put in, they can't even enforce it. They get slapped around by these rich clubs. And remember that, and I think a lot of that has got to do because BBC uncovered FIFA as a mafia and all that stuff. So they're afraid. The UEFA and FIFA are running scared. They're afraid. So it would be very interesting.
Look, I mean, look, if you have bottomless pit in terms of your pockets, like you have in the Middle East, it's hard to compete against them. As Tony said, look, we're trying to create a fair society. You got to have lawyers. They have brilliant lawyers. They have deep pockets. They're tied up in courts forever. Sometimes you want to cut your losses. People don't always plead out because they're guilty. They plead out because they're trying to save face or they're trying to save resources. And it doesn't make sense you have to fight them in court for the next 10 years and don't come to a final decision. So they may have to come to a compromise and just allow them to go for a year versus 2 years.
Yeah, true. Okay, so guys, listen. So there's a fair amount of feedback from everybody, from us finishing fourth to us not even finishing in a Europa spot. Nobody mentioned whether we've got a chance to win the FA Cup. Funny enough, that's a very strange one. Knowing how Arteta wants to win that so badly, yeah, it's a very mixed bag. And our expectations from this season, very mixed bag. Wasn't really expecting that. I thought, considering that our record and our play this year in the league, that I thought some people would think that we would really have a chance to finish fifth. But I guess we'll have to wait and see how that works out. Just ending on that, Kez is saying the bottom line is there's a lot of corruption in the game, and I wouldn't be surprised if something more comes out. Ooh, yeah, because they did say it was more than emails that they uncovered. So if this thing goes to Tribune, maybe UEFA might pull out a lot more dirty tricks that Manchester City has pulled out. They only stated that they found out that they fabricated the proof. But there was a lot more things that they found in those emails. So it would be interesting if this goes to court. It might work in Man City's... No, actually, it might work in UEFA's favour. This is going to be really interesting. Boy, if I was a fly on the wall, man. Emery says...
I'd be surprised courts will accept information that was obtained illegally. That's interesting.
You know, I mean, the fact that they've put the penalty based on those findings, again, Bertrand, it'd be interesting to see how this works. It really would. Because the courts, it's a weird thing. UEFA has to be the one that overturns everything. The courts are there and would be able to provide a case for them to do it. They can't officially do it, but they can appease a reason for them to do it, which would be fair. But I think UEFA, by making it 2 years, looked at that in advance to say, okay, even if we ease up, it would be a year. And I think going on the back of what Tony said, that would be enough to break Man City's stronghold on a lack of Champions League money, gate money, and everything. They wouldn't be able to pay their top three players in the team. They would not be able to pay those players.
All they have to do is create a company that look.
Yeah, they did.
Create their own Puma. They create their own Adidas. They create their own Nike. Yeah. They create what they want to create. Well, I think about this. So Everton, Asamoah is now associated with Everton. He was supposed to pay them like £30 million for naming rights. That's conflicted, right? He's an affiliate. It's conflicted. How is that past this test versus what they have done with City?
Yeah,
it's just a different flavor.
Yeah,
Same thing, different flavor.
I agree. I totally agree. And you know, there's a difference between 30 million to 400 million. I think that's the key there. There's a big key.
It's a start.
Yeah, it is a start. It is a start. You know what it's like, Bertram. You give them an inch and they want a mile. You know, you just start creeping through.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, guys, listen. Let's talk about our man Aubameyang. Now, this conversation has become more serious over the last week because of where Arsenal may end up with nothing this year. So, guys, I'm going to start with Tony this time, Bertram. Tony, is he going to go? Tony,
know,
can you
this
hear
is
me?
one of those. Yeah, I can. I just had to sort of compose my thoughts. I really don't know what the answer is on this one. I get asked questions about boxing sometimes about whether something is A or something is B. And my expertise in the sport, I can tell you it's one way or it's the other. In this situation, this is a man's heart. I have no idea where his heart is. I look at the pitch. I look at the picture of Aubameyang at the end of that game, and my eyesight tells me he loves this club and he loves what he's part of, and he wants this thing to succeed. I could not see a player on that pitch who was more disappointed at what happened in the last few minutes of that game than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He really was upset, and I really felt at that point in time that he just didn't want to,
Didn't want to be here.
be feeling the way he did.
Yeah.
However, I must say, listen, the guy has every reason to leave in the summer if we're not in European competition, and he has to look around the squad and go, well, with what we've got, we're not challenging for the league. He really would have every reason to go, I need to move to a better team that have got more opportunity for me to succeed in European competition A and in their own domestic competition B.
Yeah, because Suarez would be back then for Barcelona, wouldn't he? He'll be back. If I thought that if Aubameyang was going to go, it would have been in January, because then he would have known he would have been a replacement for Suarez. So the question is, where is he going to go, really? He ain't going to go Liverpool. He won't go to Man City. He won't even play on those teams.
The talk has been about Inter, actually. Because Martinez will go to Barca, supposedly. They're looking for a replacement for Suarez. And he would go into the play with Lukaku up front.
Yeah. I think there's a real possibility that he could go for many different reasons. One of them is obviously contract. We've got to put that in the equation. The contract is a huge thing which has never been resolved at Arsenal. And I think that this downturn for this season brings no promises for next season. The next season, with the displays that this team has shown in the Europa Cup and at certain times in the league, I don't think that there's any prospects for a guy like Aubameyang and his quality to even think about staying at Arsenal. I don't see a situation where he stays. They've made him a captain, and that's normally a really bad thing to do at Arsenal, because when you make a man a captain, Henry, Van Persie, Fabregas, guess what happens? They leave. It's almost as if the captain armband is a plea for them not to go, rather than being a true leader, which is sad, really.
Yes, I think that's definitely the case, especially in Aubameyang's case. Because I don't see him as a natural leader. I think his performance suggests that he could be, but I don't see him as a natural leader. I think that's sort of an encouragement and an enticement for him to stay. As you said, there's no way he stays. No matter how much he loves the club, he's 30 years old. Your aspiration is to maximize your potential, not only earn his potential, but to win trophies. He's going to be in the other side of his career in the next year or two. Why would he stay when we're rebuilding, basically? So think about it. We have Luis, we have Socrates, we have a bunch of players, Xhaka, Mustafi. There are a lot of people we have to get out the club. And you have to spend time, resources, and we don't have fun. Guys, you have to remember, we had a loss last year, probably for the first time in eons, right? We actually had a loss. And if you're going to pay Aubameyang, I don't know, 100,000 to his salary, we have to bring in players to pay. It's going to be very, very difficult. Yeah. Let's move some of these deadweight salaries off our books. We can't keep operating at a loss.
Yeah. And I think that's another thing for me. And Emery has made another good point where he's saying he would only leave for a top club. So the question is, which one of the teams will come in for a 31-year-old? And listen, Henry left when he was 28, 29. Van Persie left when he was 29. We can't even talk about Sanchez because he's not really an Arsenal legend. But the question is this guy's going to be 31 years old. Who's going to want to pay a 31-year-old a new contract, by the way. So I'm talking about he's making 200 grand a week now. Who's going to pay him a new contract, a 3 to 4 year deal worth in the region of $250,000 or 300,000 plus? Who's going to do that? And Arsenal could just well.
This is 2020. Tom Brady is 43. Breeze is 38.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Yeah. If you don't think people will pay for a 31-year-old, let me tell you about a certain individual called Zlatan Ibrahimovic. The pay, the quality, people want that. They will pay the money. Zlatan Ibrahimovic. How old is he?
He's at 36, isn't he? Yeah, he's 36. But I mean, obviously, Man United got him. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I'm not sure about that, Tony, but he's still a quality player.
Come on.
But yeah, he's still a quality player. Yeah.
So, Paulo, think about it this way, guys. Think about it this way. There are a couple of things. One is he's 31, yes, but he doesn't get injured. The guy plays every game. He's not like I said, to get injured or Ozil will take time off. He plays almost every game. He hasn't lost any of his speed. That goal that everyone complains that he missed, he created that goal, just like he did against Watford. By being that quick. As I said, Tom Brady's 43, Drew Brees is about 38. This is 2020. People take care of their bodies. They're in much better shape. And they don't drink as much, they don't smoke as much, they go in early. Yeah. I mean, I don't see why he can't play until he's 35, 36 years old.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Alex on this one. Alex, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm going to, and I've said this on the last few weeks. I think we should just let them both go. I don't think you're gonna have any chance of getting the likes of Pancano or anything like that. For me, you build defense upwards. You don't build attack downwards. It just never has been a success for a recipe for success. I think that I would personally let both of them go this summer. I really would. And I'd get what I can.
No, it's three. It's not two of them. It's three of them.
Ozil.
This is time. All three got to go. Ozil going to the under 23. He doesn't want to leave. He goes to the under 23. I'm sorry. He's got to go.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with Ozil, but I mean, there has been options with a Turkish move for over a year now. So maybe that might play itself out. It really is down to what Arteta wants. But again, and it really is down to what they're going to do with Ceballos. Yeah, it really is down to what they're going to do with him. Will he now go back to Madrid? Will he now stay with Arsenal?
He should go back. He should go back. He doesn't do enough to me to differentiate himself. He doesn't.
But he's definitely a part of a formula that Arteta wants. So I wish I really knew what direction Arteta wanted to go with. But I would plant my future on Martinelli, Pepe, Nketiah at the 10 at the anchor, and Saka. Remember, Saka ain't a left back. He's a left-sided attacking player. I would put my future on those four guys and build around them, and I would focus on the defense. I really would. I would get Pancano to replace.
I think we need to focus on the midfield. The midfield needs a lot of work.
Oh yeah, that too, definitely that too. So
your core needs work, and our core is weak.
Yeah, I agree. The spine is just it just needs to be strengthened, and I would definitely go in that direction. Tony?
The other thing you got to remember here, guys, is when you're talking about future planning, don't forget we still got Mkhitaryan on our books. We still got El Neni on our books. There's a whole bunch of players out there who are applying a trade somewhere else who still belong to this club. And there's about 6 or 7 players who are playing their trade at Arsenal who shouldn't be. Yeah. So you need a complete, rebuild, and you're not going to get that in one summer.
Yeah, because they've always said for a new manager, it takes 4 transfer windows, doesn't it?
So if you're not capable of doing that in one transfer window, then what can you maintain that gives you the best opportunity next season? Listen, as far as I'm concerned, you get rid of Lacazette, you get rid of Mustafi, you get rid of Socrates, you get rid of Xhaka, you get rid of El Neni, you get rid of Mkhitaryan if you don't think he's going to be part of the picture, and you go out and you bring in Saliba, you bring in Pablo Mari, you bring in somebody else who's going to run things in the middle of the pitch. As Bertram is saying, we need a midfield dominator, especially if Ceballos is not going to be there. But most importantly, you keep Aubameyang at all costs. You give him 400 grand for 3 years. I don't care. You give him the money. As I said, Zlatan Ibrahimovic is on 400 grand at Milan. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of players playing in places on big money. Yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo is not young anymore. He's 30 what?
What is he, 35 now? He'll be 36 this year.
Thank you very much. So, if you've got 4 more years of Aubameyang, why would you not give him the 400 grand if he's scoring 30 goals a season for you? It makes no sense.
Yeah, Tony, I don't think it's the money with Aubameyang. I don't think it's the money. I think it's him stalling.
It's him. Yeah, it's him. I think it's more about him than less about us, I think.
I hear what you're saying, but you know what? If I'm going to build a team around anybody at Arsenal, it's Aubameyang. I'm going to throw the kitchen sink at him. And you know that bullshit that they pulled off with Van Persie, when Van Persie came to the table and said, I will sign with you if you do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And they went, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. And you know what, Tony, I love that statement because I've got a big beef with Arsenal fans when it comes to Van Persie. A lot of fans hate him, and I respect him because out of Vieira, Henry, Fabregas, and all them guys that left for the same reason that Van Persie left, by the way, because Arsenal would not reinvest and they lacked ambition. And what he did, unlike those other guys that left, he put the principles on his website and said, Arsenal fans, I owe you the truth. I'm going to tell you about your club, the club that you love and that you adore. I'm going to tell you what they're really like. They do not want success. They do not want to, they have no ambition. They have no wish to succeed. I have asked them, I have begged them to bring in, I think at that time, was that the time we were supposed to bring in Tevez? I can't remember. I think it was. Yes, that's right. It was a time that we were talking to Tevez and we weren't interested. And that's why he left. And you know what? If I was Van Persie, I would have left as well. Because, and you know, he's got a Premiership title medal, which he'll have for the rest of his life. And that will be a reminder of why he had to leave Arsenal, because they wouldn't fix themselves. And it took them a long time to do it. But the fact of the matter is we had no ambition. None.
So that's interesting because I would think from Van Persie, I could have been an Arsenal legend versus have the question, which one do you prefer? He has no association with any team as a legend. He was at Man U for a short time. He went back home. But he can't say he's Henry obviously won, he's a legend. But Walcott is probably much more valued at Arsenal than even Van Persie has been.
Who's that?
Right?
Yeah,
Theo is probably more valued at Arsenal than Van Persie has been.
Yeah.
Because people don't like the decision Van Persie made to go to a rival.
Yeah.
I'm not sure was the best decision. If he went overseas, it's a different story. But he went to a rival.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's you know, but the thing is, you got to remember as well, players want to win titles. So if he went back to Feyenoord, which he did in the end, he went back to Feyenoord.
So go to Barca or go to Madrid or go someplace else. Don't go to Man U. Don't go to Tottenham.
Yeah. And again, we've got Wenger to thank for that because of that phone call with Alex Ferguson. My dear, oh dear, oh dear. So listen, we've got Emery saying, I know we all want a lot of our dead wood gone, but it's not fair that it's what's he saying? It's not that easy to do. Yes, agreed, because of contracts and loans. And by the way, Roma have contacted us about a permanent deal for Mkhitaryan, so that's probably one we're going to do well with. We've been trying to sell Mustafi for 2 years and haven't been able to. Agreed. Because of the way he's playing over the last few months, I don't think that's going to help his cause. We've got William Saliba in, and I think that we have to go young. A lot of people ain't talking about Torreira. Torreira's only 23 years old, and I think that we have to find someone who's going to play next to him in the middle as a holding. Not Xhaka. I don't think that Xhaka is the answer, but I think that we have to go out and find someone who can play next to Torreira and allow him to just disrupt midfields while maintaining balance defensively.
I'll go with Decore.
Good shout. Good shout. Yeah. But I said this last year when he was at Watford. He was in my fantasy team for the Barclays fantasy team, and Bertram just brought up Decore as well. I think that's a really good shout. I really do. He's a quality player.
Decore and Didi, you got players out there with legs, can run all day, have enough skill to be effective. Those are the players we need to pursue.
Yeah, definitely. So listen, guys. I was going to talk about Arteta grading. Actually, let's actually do that. Let's talk about Arteta at the moment. What would you guys grade him about his team sheets this season? What would you grade him out of 10? And you guys in the chat as well.
Tony.
Yeah, you guys in the chat as well. What would you grade Arteta for his team sheets this season?
Who's going first?
You, Tony.
Go first, Tony. I'll go after you. You have the floor.
Okay, so I mean, you guys have seen me salivating over what I've been seeing from Arteta. Had you asked me this question last week after?
That's my answer.
Yeah. Had you have asked me this after Everton last week against Everton, I would have said 9. I've got to drop those points after this week because he really got short-handed. He got found out in a number of places across the pitch, up top, in midfield, and in defence. So unfortunately, I don't want to criticise him too much because he is, as you saying, only now he's in the 3rd month. So I'm going to go 7.5 for the season to date, and that drop off is purely based on what I thought was a pretty poor decision in the week.
Yeah, that is as fair as you can go. Bertram, do you want me to go second, or do you want to go second?
Go. You can go. You can go second.
All right. Okay. And only because Tony raised it, and I was doing this to Tony last week. That's why. Listen, I said this week I'm going to keep my mouth shut and make sure that you two go first. Tony, absolutely perfect example of why we have to give coaches time to find their feet. Because Arteta, for me, would have got a 9 last week, and what he did against Olympiacos, for me, that lost the game. I thought the team sheet was wrong, and I thought he took too long to bring on Martinelli, who would have made a major impact. We was knocking on the door to score that goal, and it just wasn't coming. And I thought as soon as he came on, he was reactive, progressive, and he should have seen that. And he's shown examples of being able to manage us at that level previously, and why he didn't do it in what was one of our most important games of the season. There's no excuse for that. So I have to go with Tony as a 7. 18 says 7 as well. Alex says a 5. So Alex is definitely not happy about what happened against Olympiacos. Definitely not happy about that. But at the same time, we have to remember that what he's done with the youth players at this team, how he's brought through Pepe, Reece Nelson. We still haven't seen Reece Nelson come back, so it's going to be difficult to see what he does there. Alex Sustain still choosing players who failed under Emery and Lundberg. That's because I don't think he's really got that much of an option. I think the Nketiah thing was definitely Arteta from the day Nketiah came in from Leeds. Arteta was like, we're keeping this guy, and not only are we keeping him, we're playing him. He saw something in him, and that just disrupted the whole thing. So we can see Arteta starting to, but he just doesn't have the players that he wants. And even with Pablo Mari, why aren't you playing the guy? Oh man, Daniel's given an 8 as well. Big up to you, Daniel. Emery is saying it's difficult to grade because of the injuries he's had to deal with. Spot on again with Kieran Tierney, etc. Specifically with the substitutions, he gets a 3 as he constantly takes too long to make changes. Yeah, I'd go with that. I think 3 is a little bit low, but I definitely see your understanding. I respect that. I respect that grade completely. Bertram, come in, man. What would you grade him as far as team sheets go?
So I'm looking at the whole body of work, and I'm in the results business. So my first question is, if you win half your games, if you have half the points you should have gotten, so you play 15 games, should have 45 points, you have half of it. He hasn't. So he's below half. Think about this. And if you grade as an average, he's below average in terms of results, right? Structure, yes. we're much better constructed defensively. He has been creative in having Xhaka being almost like a left back versus playing his traditional midfield roles. He's been very creative.
Yeah.
He has used Saka really well in terms of assist and having Aubameyang playing like a false winger, but he's sort of in between. It's a hybrid role.
Okay, Bertram, I'm going to let you carry on because our next question was grading him on tactics, but you're bringing that all into one.
Okay. So so let me just go to the grade then.
Yeah.
So I gave him a 6.
Okay.
And if I could have been generous, because as I said before, it's a results business. Any other team, any other manager in any other league or any other endeavor, if you got less than half in terms of outcome of possible points, and you're getting an 8 or a 9, that doesn't resonate and make sense to me. Ancelotti, for example, has gotten much better results than Arteta has gotten. Still not perfect in terms of how everything is doing, but he's made some strategic changes. He's playing 2 up top, who are devastating to teams.
4-4-2.
Right? He's playing like a 4-4-2, or sometimes even a 4-2-4. Today, look what he did. He took off his midfield and put a forward on when he had 2 forwards already on the field. He's trying to win games.
Yeah, but he's a much more seasoned manager than Arteta. 19 years of experience against 2 months. I can't really.
But we've been told that Arteta learned from a genius. Even though I think Pep is overrated.
Yeah, but he's still. But that genius isn't next to him, though. You know.
That genius is like Mourinho. Mourinho did well at Porto, but Mourinho has always had the most resources and the best players.
Yeah.
City played.
You can't go with that 2 months.
Go ahead.
It's harsh. 2 months. So listen, we're going to talk about tactics now. Which one of you want to go first? And guys in the chat, give me your grades on Arteta's tactics over the last 2 months. Tony, go on.
The Tony wants to go.
I'm happy to go first again. So again, this is the same thing. I mean, tactics are a 9 up until the end of the Everton game. And then all of a sudden they drop for the Olympiacos result because tactically he got that wrong. It just you look across the pitch and you go, not operating the way he should be doing that, as in Bellerin, not operating he should never be on the pitch, is Socrates. Lacazette is not doing a job for me up top, so I need to change that before the end of the 90 minutes. So tactically across that whole pitch against Olympiacos, the tactics are shockingly bad. But before that, I would have given him a 9 because he's doing so many good things. And tactically, he's solidified that defense, as Bertram says. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 7 on that one as well.
7? You dropped it from a 9 to a 7. That's harsh.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's a big game. That's the biggest game of his entire 2 months. And you mentioned that he's only been in a job 2 months and maybe he hasn't had time. But this guy is not like he's new to this. Yeah, I don't give this 2 months business. Doesn't work for me because effectively, when you talk about how we developed Raheem Sterling, you don't say, "Oh, but he only had 2 months experience." He's had lots of experience working with one of the finest coaches in the world. He knows what it's all about.
Of course,
he's done his trade-ins and everything else, so he knows what this job is about. Yeah. So for him to get it wrong tactically, when this is what you're paid for, I think he got found lacking quite badly against Olympiacos. However, I must respond to Bertram's point, which was the 50%. If you've only got 50% of the points, for the grade, the fact is he's only lost one league game. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying, that if a guy doesn't get the 4 points, but he hasn't lost many. He's only lost one game.
I think he's done tremendous.
Yeah, I think the confusion for people today is that in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, it was okay to draw games, right? When you change the system to 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw, and you're drawing game, that becomes a problem. They want to differentiate clearly winning from drawing or losing. This whole notion about if you play 38 games, you draw 38 games, is 38 points. If you play 38 games and you win 19, that's 50-something points. There's a huge difference between me drawing all 38 games, right, and me winning half my games. It's about winning. That's why America don't have draws. They have results.
I get that, but Bertram,
a waste of time.
Bertram, but what I think that you might be discounting is that this team didn't have the ability to win, which is why he was brought in. This team was broken, Bertram. They couldn't do nothing. They couldn't score goals. They couldn't. They were awful. This team, as I said, 2 wins in their last 16 games. They were horrendous. To expect a team like that to win, I was surprised that they went away with Lundberg to West Ham and won. I really was, because they had not shown me anything, any desire, any tactics, any skill, anything. They just looked like a team that had given up on their manager and had given up on the badge. I
don't think tactics, team selection, and results are mutually exclusive. They're all interrelated in some way, shape, or form. So yes, Tony talked about the tactics against Olympiacos, which resulted in a poor results. The team selection to me was even much more detrimental and much more of a concern than even positioning. I think his positioning in terms of tactics, how he structured them, how he positioned them, is fine. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with is who he puts on the field to execute what he's trying to get across.
So
and frankly, having I go back to this again. Lacazette and Ozil down your middle is a recipe for disaster.
So come on, Bertram. What's your grade? We've got.
I give him a 7.5 for tactics, actually.
Right, we've got Emery in with 8 for tactics. Players have let him down with finishing chances and making defensive mistakes. Agreed. Although we have cut down on some defensive mistakes, we've got 18 giving him an 8. We've got Alex. Alex is harsh today, man. Alex is coming out swinging today, boy. Alex is knocking him down. Alex giving him a 5. Listen, for me, Daniel, we haven't had your score on tactics yet. For me, I'm going to give him tactics a 9. Now, I have to do the player ratings in every game. So I pinpoint everything he's been doing, and I have to grade those effectively. And for me, the performances of players are increasing. Mustafi, Xhaka, to name a few. The team is imposing themselves on other teams, and they're working tremendously harder than they did previously. But the formation is set at 4-2-3-1, and it's a clear pattern of shape when they play. There is very rarely that I see that team not have that central compactness to win the ball back and initializing the counter press. That doesn't happen. The team is 100% spot on, and I can promise you that the games that I've seen, that is how they work. And even when there's a break in the game and the players, before it used to be under Emery, Guendouzi used to be the only player who ran back and talked to Emery. Nobody else used to do it. Now we're seeing 4-5 players run into Arteta on the sideline to get instructions. They just switched on. They just want to know exactly what's been hanging out. The weaknesses we've seen, which is fitness. Fitness has been a major problem. It was against Chelsea and Man United, and it was against Olympiacos, although that was a team sheet issue. But, the tiredness and hanging on, controlling spaces, that has definitely been a problem for us. But overall, Arteta has ticked every box available to him. Remember, availability to what he has to work with is a key component.
I don't fully agree. I don't see how. I never say this.
And
you cannot separate.
And that's fine. But for me, it's a 9 out of 10 for tactics as far as that goes. Go on, Bertrand.
Yeah, my last point on this is that you cannot separate the team selection from the so-called tactics, because to implement your tactics, for it to work, you have to select the right individuals to function in the capacity you want them to function in. So if I pick Lacazette and Ozil to play tactically, that was a smart decision. It's a poor decision. So I can't give him a 9 or a 10. I gave him a 7.5, mainly because, we stopped leaking goals, even though we gave up a couple to Olympiacos. We stopped leaking goals. I see real good structure in terms of how we play. We don't get counter attack like we used to. We used to lose the ball upfield and all hell break loose.
That
has changed materially.
Because we're tighter. We're more compact as a
we're
team.
much more tighter. but you have to select the right people to execute your mandate. And frankly, he's lacking in some of those areas. He's stick with his old players too much in terms of those two. Those are two of the main issues. And also, you need some creativity right down your gut, down the middle. We have none. Abba is not creative. He puts the ball in the net. Laka is not creative. Ozil is not creative. The only player that plays up front is Pepe. Our midfielders are a challenge. No creative midfielder. Look at Fernandes from Man U. He's changed the whole dynamics of that team.
Saka.
The entire dynamics.
Yeah, I think Saka and Ceballos are our two most creative players. Tony?
Yeah.
Oh, also, Alex agrees with you,
Yeah.
Bertram. Alex agrees with you. Alex is coming out swinging, baby. He's swinging tonight, man. He's throwing punches, haymakers, jabs. Alex is bringing the funk, baby. Nice one, Alex. Nice one. Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I've answered the question in terms of grading his tactics. You know, in terms of creation in the team, I think we still, you know, I think, look, Ozil has created loads of opportunities. You know, I think you're being a little bit disingenuous in saying that he's a pointless player on the pitch. He creates so much. Yeah,
he has done. He's the most
Tony, 17 Premier League games, 17 games, 1 goal and 1 assist. I don't want to hear about his chances created. Those stats
you have to hear about the chances created because that's how the game.
Because any ball's a chance. If I kick the ball from my goalkeeper and they create stats, it's a chance. That makes no sense. 1 goal and 1 assist. I'm gonna say that again. 1 goal, 1 assist in 18 games.
Yeah, I agree.
That is at 350K per week. Oh, come on.
I've seen him put the ball on the money for the likes of Lacazette and sometimes Aubameyang, and it's fluffed. And we've had. I remember. I think was it Everton at home? It was Everton at home. He fluffed an amazing chance where he had a through ball and then he hit it with the wrong foot. Instead of hitting it with the left, he hit it with the right and it went on the side of the post. The
Luiz create more chances than he does. David Luiz create more chances than he does. David Luiz from the centre half.
Well, he hasn't statistically. He hasn't.
Lazy.
It's been Ozil. Yeah, Ozil statistically has created more chances since he's been here, and that's just a numbers thing. We can't blame Ozil if somebody can't finish.
You get the ball on top of the 18 is a chance. Come on, guys. That makes no sense to me.
Where I blame Ozil is his lack of shooting. He used to go in and I think against Olympiacos, we saw him run into the box once when he went past 2 players, played a little nice 1-2, and one of the defenders made a great tackle and fluffed it out. But that was the first time I've seen Ozil run into the box to attack. It's the first time I've probably seen him do it this season. He's just been lacking.
If you say Ozil run past an oxymoron, I don't understand. He doesn't run past anything. He's so slow. It's amazing. I'm struggling with how we defend Ozil. Now, I should stop talking about Ozil because it's a team game and one player doesn't define a team. But he's in the center of the midfield. Yeah. He's our keeper to link the midfield and the forwards. He doesn't do enough to warrant all this discussion. There's a reason why TalkSport always say, "Where is Ozil?"
No, I love Ozil.
All right, let me give you a statistic. Let me give you a statistic, right? Because we're into this statistics era. During Unai Emery's reign, the player who created the most chances one-on-one for Arsenal was who? Mesut Ozil. Yeah. 46 chances. 46 chances. If you take half of those 46 chances, you got 23 goals and 23 assists. Yeah. I bet you're saying a different story today had we taken half those assists during Unai Emery's charge, because that was only a year.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna go back to Emery again. What happened with Emery is he dropped Ozil, and we went from something to next to nothing. We didn't even look close to scoring. It was
we were 22 unbeaten. What is Apollo talking about? We were 22 unbeaten at some point last year.
Bro,
22 games unbeaten without playing Ozil.
Bro, that was before Christmas. I'm talking about after Christmas. Yeah, I'm talking about after
Yeah,
Christmas.
but I'm just saying. I mean, we can't always say because he was in the team that led to where we are. He's in the team now. We're not scoring goals.
No, well, we've scored 7 goals in our last 2 league games. So, you know, and that's because the combination of Ceballos
And he has 1 goal and 1
Ozil,
assist, so it's not up to him.
No, the combination, as I said to you in the last stream, the combination of Ozil and Ceballos is working for this team right now. And the goals prove that because we're just starting to click. With these two being the creative hubs in the team, we're bringing so much more chances, goals into the team than we've ever seen before this season. And
I don't agree. The assists are coming from Saka and from Pepe. They're not coming from Ozil or from.
But who are they getting the ball?
midfield.
That's what I'm saying. You might not agree, but Arteta sees that as the hub for his creative, foreplay in the team, and that's what's happening. We are realistically working behind those 2 guys who are facilitating the side players and supporting them, and it's Ceballos and Ozil. It's working really well. It's working.
That's why Alex gave them a 5 for tactics.
Very true. Very true. So, listen, guys, we're looking at the FA Cup now game against Portsmouth, and we're going to Fratton Park to face a League One side in the 5th round of the FA Cup on Monday. That game's happening obviously because Man City were involved in the Carabao Cup, where it was unfortunate that Villa lost today. Notice I didn't say it was a Man City victory. It was just unfortunate. Today I looked at it as a Villa loss because, look, when they're cheats, man, they're cheats. And it's a shame that they are able to glorify all of this stuff with what they've done. But, we'll have to wait and see. For me, Nketiah, no doubt, would play a part in this game. I really hope to see him play against Portsmouth. I'm also looking for Pablo Mari to play or at least get some decent minutes. What are you guys looking for? And also, guys in the chat, what are you looking forward to seeing in the Portsmouth game?
So obviously, this is one of them opportunities where you get to rest the legs that that so disappointingly failed on Thursday. So I'm just looking forward to seeing how the youngsters and those who have been on the sidelines or have been on the outskirts get an opportunity to play, because we've got a load of really good players. You've been alluding to it all the time. Reece Nelson is ready. He's eager. I liked him more kid become Jadon Sancho. I'm looking forward to seeing Nketiah. Again, he shone in his last game.
Yeah.
So against this kind of opposition, I'm looking for him,
and hit the crossbar twice.
A hat trick for him. Yeah, so I'm looking for him to really impose himself and hopefully say to Arteta, drop this guy Laka. I don't want to see him again in the squad because I can do the job for you. Pablo Mari, presence, blood. This guy has got to be in this. He has got to be there. I'm all about getting them in, blooding them, and letting them rip, because this guy is, for me, if we can get everything right, he's going to be one half of a superb defense next season. If him and Saliba look scary good for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing Pablo tomorrow. Just across the whole line, we've got some really good youngsters. I don't know who he's going to bring in from the under-23s. Cohen's a good player. I'm trying to even remember who we still got. We've so many out on
Burton. We've still got the captain, Burton. We've still got Burton.
Yeah. Good player again. So, I'm looking forward to it. It's interesting because when I was based up in North London, I used to go and see a lot of reserve team football, and I would have been on the ball with all these players who are potentially coming into a fixture like this. Now, not so much. But it's gonna. I'm very much enthusiastic because I think with these youngsters working under Freddie and now getting a week's worth of preparation with Mikel Arteta, or half a week, it'd be interesting to see how they perform.
Yeah, yeah. And Daniel's saying, no messing around. We felt defeat. We felt that knockout blow. Don't want to be there. And this is the last chance for any form of silverware. Safety mode off and blow them away 5-0. Totally agree with that, mate. And I think that, Tony, back to you. What would be your team sheet?
Martinez in goal. Been doing a great job. Maitland-Niles at the right. Pablo. I'd actually give Rob Holding the legs, because you know what? It's Portsmouth. It's not like we're playing a top of the championship team. We're playing a first division team.
Yeah,
so Rob Holding should be able to hold his own.
Yeah.
Who have we got at left back? I mean, it beggars belief. Who have we got at left back?
Well, I know Turney and Suarez came back to training last week. Turney is close. Turney could probably play, not Suarez. Turney could probably play though. Turney would be shouting for a start, most definitely.
If I look at the way Turney was being positioned in the training footage, I don't think he's getting a look in. And most importantly, he wasn't selected as part of that under-23 squad last week against Man City.
Yeah, that's
so
right,
just that alone tells me he's not ready.
I think they'll go with Saka again. They'll probably go with Saka, which is a shame. It's his 5th game.
You can't play him. You've got to find someone else.
I don't know what
and I'm sure they've got a left back. I'm sure they've got a left back in the club that they'll play. But whoever it is, he's going to do a job. Across the midfield, Torreira, Ceballos, because I just think you've got to keep playing Ceballos at the minute. And who else? I've been thinking about this for a long time, actually. Is this the kind of game that you play David Luiz in the middle of the park?
Well, the Arteta's answer would be it'd probably be yes, because we know Arteta plays a strong team in the FA Cup. He takes it very seriously. But come on, man, this is a Division 1 team, so you can afford to take chances, considering your team hasn't had a rest. They played 4 games in 11 days. So it would be difficult to see him really doing that. But I mean, I wouldn't. They done it at Man City when he was there.
I'll play Burton. I'll play Reece Nelson, Nketiah. I'll run out of names.
Okay, so we've got Emery and saying he doesn't care about winning the FA Cup as it only gets you the Europa League, which he's sick of. 3 seasons and it is more than enough. I agree about the Europa League, but you have to remember, Enrian, I've been at Wembley for both of the Charity Shield wins, both of the FA Cup victories, 2014, the back-to-back FA Cups. I've been there for all of them, and I loved every single minute of it. As a fan, it's a fan's day out, and I wouldn't swap them for anything. Those are some of my most memorable memories, is going to Wembley and winning the FA Cup. And I love it as a fan. It's a consolation prize, I know, but this is for the fans. This is all about the fans. And it's a brilliant day out. I'm not sure.
Cardiff was better, though.
Sorry?
Cardiff was better. Cardiff was better for me.
People sort of saying that,
than Wembley. I love if you were there at Cardiff, man, Chelsea, oh mate, that was a fantastic weekender. Fantastic weekend. And then, when you're in London, you're spoiled. When you Wembley was our home turf for Champions League games for a period. Going to Cardiff, that was a trip. Really enjoyed it.
So Bertrand, before we come to you, Emery saying, as we have only 1 game a week, we should just play the strongest team to build momentum in the league and run. And as I said about Arteta has shown in the last round of the FA Cup that he takes this very seriously and he plays strong teams. I just think coming off the back of the tiredness that he might give him a break. But Emery, your thinking is exactly the same as Arteta's. He doesn't waver and he's in it to win it. Alex is saying silverware, silverware. If we win the FA Cup, it will give the fan base and players a lift. I totally agree, because we had some of our best performances after those FA Cup wins, and we went on to do it back-to-back because we just had the confidence to think that we could win it. Bertram, Portsmouth, talk to me. And Bertram, what would your team sheet be against Portsmouth?
So Martinez in goal, Maitland Miles on the left. Actually, that's where he started out playing. We move him to the right eventually. Mari and Socrates in the middle, and Mustafi on the right, because we have no one else to play there. Torreira, Ceballos in the middle, Martinelli, and Ketia, Willock, and Nelson up front.
Nice.
So you have to have a balanced team, because you can't take risk. Division 1, League 1, whatever team is, you have to be very careful that you're going with a sense of urgency. It's the only cup you have to win this year. You also want to introduce certain players, because you want to see them perform in that environment. So it's a good time to introduce Mari to the team. And you also have to have a defense with some experience to balance it out. You can't play Saka anymore. You're going to burn him out. I know he's 18, got good legs, and should have endurance, but he's been playing a lot of football at a very high level. Bellerin just needs to have some time off. It's hard to recover from the kind of injury that he has, as we're seeing with Holding, because Holding is far from his best, and he's been out for almost a year or so. We have to give Willock game time. I think Willock is going to be a surprise player for us going forward, because I think he has a lot of the attributes. He just has to make better decisions in the final third. Martinelli needs to play, and Nketiah needs to play. Nelson needs to get back into the fold. I think that's a young team with some experience, especially in the defense. They can get the job done.
Now, that's a good shout. It's very close to what my team is. My only issue is I'm one of the biggest Willock fans, and I've been so disappointed in his play of late over the last month. And I personally don't think that he's earned a place on the team with his performances. I think that you got to give someone else a chance. I think he's been playing quite a few games in terms of getting chances, but he just hasn't utilized them. He's looked well off the pace. He doesn't look like, I called him the second coming of David Rocastle, and he's looked anything but that. And remember when we went up to Liverpool in the League Cup and we lost 5-4, who was the player that galvanized the team? It was him. He took the game by the scruff of the neck. He ran his socks off that game, and he was a true leader. But ever since that performance, I just haven't seen him back to that standard of play. So listen, I've gone with Martinez in goal. I've gone with Maitland-Niles at left back as well, it's funny enough. And I've gone with Mari and Socrates in the middle. And I've gone with Rob Holding at right back, which is a change. I've gone with Torreira and Ceballos as the holding midfielders. I've gone with Reece Nelson on the right. I've gone with Eddie Nketiah on the left. I've gone with Martinelli at the 10. And I've gone with Aubameyang at the point. So that's the team that I put out and them. And I think that, again, it's hard to put a team out knowing that Arteta always plays his strongest team in this competition. But we've got to win it, man. This has to be a goal of ours now, to go to Wembley and realistically try and get a win there. It has to be a goal, because this club should be all about winning. It should be. That's the standard for us. And we shouldn't take these competitions lightly. Daniel saying, that's the FA Cup, man. The oldest cup in England. It has our name all over it. So record time, we have to represent. And the final is always a great sunny day, win-win. I totally agree. And as I said, I love those days. I love the fact that we've been able to take down some top teams in that competition. And even when we beat Hull, people forget, when we docked our 10-year, when we broke our 10-year dock and we beat Hull, people forget that we beat teams like Liverpool, Spurs. We beat Man City in the semi-final. We beat some really strong teams to get there. I know it was Hull in the final, but it was the journey to that trophy that really gave me a satisfaction. The fact that we took out all those Premiership giants. And I remember the Liverpool game where we won 2-1 at home at the Emirates. We were up against SAS. We were up against Sterling. We were up against Sturridge. And we were up against Suarez. And you know who we had as striker in that game? Sonogo. And we beat them 2-1. And just games like that I just absolutely love the fact that we were able to take out the likes of them, Tottenham. It was just a fantastic cup run. And to go to Wembley and be 2-0 down after 14 minutes, I never want to, sometimes I can laugh at the replays because of what we did and overcome. And I can remember all my Tottenham and Chelsea fans telling me they didn't want to see Arsenal play. They didn't want to see the game. And once they knew that we were 2-0 down against Hull in the final, they jumped at the television to just see us lose. And what happened? We ended up winning the game. It was just brilliant. Daniel having nightmares, saying Hull was a nightmare. Listen, so yeah, for me, looking forward to it. Another strong showing for us, and I think we should go for it. So guys, listen, that's an hour and 45 minutes. We're nearing the end of the show. And our last topic is non-football related. So I can understand if you guys, probably going to moan about us not talking about Arsenal. But our Arsenal show now is done. And we're going to talk and discuss a little bit now because the Wilder Fury 3 is on. It was official today that the fight's going to go ahead. So, and we're just going to talk about that for the last 10 or 15 minutes, guys, and then we'll shut up shop. But Tony, you're eager to get into this. You're scratching the claws of the forum to come in and talk to us about this third match, which I personally think this is going to be a complete and utter mismatch. I think that Fury won the first fight. I think he dominated the second, and why Wilder would even go on to go with a third match is beyond me. Tony, come into it, man. Give me your thoughts on it. And guys in the forum, let me know what you think as well.
That's my area of expertise, brother man. That's my area of expertise. Okay, I don't know if you've seen it. My brother Deontay Wilder, who I had put my money on this guy. He obviously had some major issues for that second fight. I'm going to take my hat off and say I always knew Tyson Fury was a great boxer. But what he did by way of tactics for this second fight was superb. He used his weight. He used his tactics superbly. So 9.5 out of 10 for Tyson Fury. For Deontay Wilder, 5 out of 10. Because he didn't use his gifts. He has gifts which he did not utilize.
So
okay?
go into that. When you talk about he has gifts and he didn't utilize it, go into that a little bit for our listeners so that they can understand the semantics behind that. Because he's been known as a puncher and not a boxer. So go into that a little bit.
So this is the point. If you're a boxing aficionado like I am, you will understand that Deontay Wilder represented the United States of America in the 2016 Olympic Games. No, the 2012 Olympic Games, was it? No. Yeah, 2016 Olympic Games.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a bronze medal holder. You don't get that accolade. I know the heavyweights in Olympic boxing are not as great as you think, but you still don't get that kind of recognition and accolade without being able to box. Yeah. In the professional rankings, he's 42 wins, 41 knockouts, and 1 defeat and 1 draw. He's not unable to box. He has unfortunately been given the moniker as the one-punch knockout artist, the one-hitter quitter. But the guy can box. Unfortunately, he's become limited in his ability to use those boxing skills because he does actually believe he doesn't need them.
Yeah.
However, he got his ass beat last week, and I think he's going to come back to the realization that I need to go back to basics and use my boxing. So if you think this is a foregone conclusion, he doesn't have any chance against a superior boxer, which Tyson Fury clearly is. Yeah, I think you could be very much in for a surprise.
I've got 2 words for you, Tony. I've got 2 words for you.
Go on.
Duran Leonard.
Yeah. So I am firmly of the belief that Deontay Wilder will go back, look at the video, work out what he did wrong. His training team will go, okay, we clearly got our strategy completely wrong. We deviated from our boxing ability to the extent that we became the one-hitter quitter. He believed in that so much that he would say in advance of the fight, this guy has to concentrate for 12 rounds. I just need 1 second. And that's what he was relying on, 1 second. Now, I'll address this issue with this. I had to carry 40 pounds of weight before me in a costume into the ring.
Isn't that the worst?
It's the worst. It's the worst excuse in the world. But you know what? Forget it. Go close the door. He will not make that mistake again. He will not make that mistake again. He's probably going to come into the ring like Mike Tyson, a shorts and a towel. Believe me, he's going to correct that mistake in a big way. Okay? He's going to have a 5-month training camp. But let me finish. I'm not saying that Wilder wins because of what I said. But what I do say is the fight number 3 is not the blowout that fight number 1 was, or fight number 2 was, sorry. I give my guy, Deontay Wilder, big props. He'll come back stronger, harder, faster. Yeah. Way much more elusivity, way much more aggression in his game. And you don't know. We've seen it before. He can drop Tyson Fury. There is a chance that we're going to see Fury on his bum again. And I'm counting on that. I'm counting on that. I'm not demeaning anything Fury has done. He performed excellently. He is the best heavyweight in the world right now. No argument. Yeah, AJ's not in the argument for me because he lost to a bum named Ruiz. Now, I shouldn't call him a bum, but let's be a pizza man. Yeah? But Wilder, in the next fight in July, August time, will be a different animal and expect a different fight. Maybe not a different result, but a different fight.
So if we played Man City, how many times do you think? If we played Man City, how many times do you think we would beat them? If we played Man City, how many times do you think we'd beat them in a given year? We played them 5 times. How much chance do you give us of beating Man City? We played them 5 times.
Probably 1.
In the last 5 games with Man City, have we not won a game? In the last 5 games against Man City.
Neither Man City or Liverpool.
The last time we beat Man City is when Arteta changed the game plan and we went to the Etihad and beat them 2-0. That was on Arteta.
Yep.
That was the
when we had our Cazorla in a minute. My point is this: is that if Fury fights Wilder 100 times, he's gonna beat him 100 times. I'm a sports. I would call myself a Boston aficionado. I'm a sports addict. So I'm always analyzing different sports. I'm a big track and field fan. I'm a big basketball fan. I'm a big football fan. And if you look at those fights, the first fight, Fury totally won that fight. It was not even close. He had 2 knockdowns. I agree. He got 2 lucky punch in. But Fury realized, wait, this is after Fury hasn't fought for 2 years. No, think about this. I haven't been in the ring for 2 years. I trained for a little bit, and I beat you. And you're supposed to be undefeated. The fight wasn't even that close, frankly. And I live in the U.S. I see Wilder. Wilder, by the way, fought in the 2008 Olympics, not 2012, 2008. So he's been a pro for about 13 years. He's been a pro for a while. His style hasn't changed. As an amateur, yes. You're not going from knockout punch about points you win. And you have to fight an amateur that way.
You don't watch Wilder fights, Bertram. You clearly don't watch Wilder fights.
Oh, no, I watch Wilder fights. I've been watching much longer than you, Tony. So I've been watching it from the Ali Fraser days, long time. This is Fraser Ali. When Ali came back from being off for how many years because of the military situation, came back, and he lost to Fraser the first time. The next time they fought, it was a different story. And I'm telling you, look at Fury. Fury's by far the best heavyweight. There's number 1, and then there's number 3, 4, 5. And Joshua and Wilder fighting for the same. They're one-dimensional fighters.
I already said that.
It's not close.
I already said. I already said that Fury is the best fighter in the heavyweight division. However, what I'm wary of is people who follow football and are part-time boxing fans will all jump on the bandwagon and say, "Oh, Wilder can't box." I've already seen somebody else saying AJ has no boxing skills. For a guy who out-jabbed a guy for 12 rounds, he got no boxing skills. I'm sorry, but you don't know anything about boxing. Yeah, I'm a boxer. Yeah, trophies up there. Yeah, that shows I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, and I can tell you for a fact.
Tony, that's like Marina saying we know about football because we didn't play pro. Come on, Tony. That's like Marina saying, or Pep saying, you didn't play for Barcelona, you didn't play for Real Madrid, so you don't know football. No,
guys, listen, guys, hold on. Guys, I just want to give a shout out to my man Arsenal Vlogs. He's only 14 subs away from getting to 600, so please support his channel. Go over there, check it out. He makes some great content, and let's get him to 600 for his birthday. Happy birthday for tomorrow, by the way, Arsenal Vlogs. Listen, before I love listening to you two talk. Let me give you my 2 cents. Yeah? Let me give you my 2 cents.
Tony's passionate about it.
Oh, I know. Yeah, let me give you my 2 cents. I look at Wilder as a Joe Frazier, and I talked about the Duran Sugar Ray Leonard first fight where Sugar Ray Leonard tried to outbox Duran.
He's not that good, sorry,
and he couldn't do it. So Sugar Ray Leonard came back for the second fight and had to change his tactics. He had to stop and jab, move around, stop and jab, and he frustrated the hell out of Duran and completely outboxed him. And it's funny because he went on to have some fantastic fights. The Hagler Leonard fight, amazing. And this is the thing: when you completely outbox somebody, and then they watch the footage and think, "Oh my God, I got no chance to get this guy," they don't come back and they don't retire. Wilder must have sat down and watched that fight, and for some reason had thought, "I can beat him. I can change what I'm doing, and I can beat him." Notoriously, you looking at those 2 fights, you wouldn't think that he would have the chance to. But going on to what Tony said, in terms of Wilder, when Wilder used to fight, he used to use a combination punch, mid to low sections, to set up that right hand. And it's something that Mike Tyson used to do. If you watch the way Tyson used to train, it was a combination before the knockout. For some reason, Wilder has got into this lazy attitude, which Tony talked about, where he's just not even bothering with setting up the right hand, that he's just going for the home run hit every single time. And why? Because he's managed to get by with it. And he's lost that edge. He's lost that setup. He's lost that skill in terms of setting that combination punch up. And, you know, although I only boxed for a short while, I'm more of a martial artist as far as art goes. But I know enough to know in the boxing ring that when you have your key attributes, those are what makes you successful. And anytime you go away from that, it's never going to work out well. And anytime that you lose to the mind games of the person in front of you, that also ends up the same way. And the way how Fury got inside of his head, it made Wilder want to knock him out even more. And that just stinks of him just throwing away his setup, throwing away the combination punches that leads to that big right. And all he was trying to do was go in for the one. He you know what he reminded me of? He reminded me of Clubber Lang in the Rocky III movie. That's what he reminded me of. Just the one hit right hand that he was looking to land, and he just gassed himself out. His legs went, everything went. He could barely stand up at the start of the it was horrible. I'll hand it back to you guys.
So I'll say this. If you and I have equal capabilities, and I'm much big, not equal, because Fury is better, and I'm bigger than you and stronger than you, it's not close. Fury beat him 2 ways. He beat him by appointing him, and he knocked his butt out, basically. They may have thrown the towel, but he actually knocked him out. While his previous fights against Ortiz, he lost every single round before he knocked him out in the 8th round. He lost every single round. I guess a good boxer. Ortiz came from good stock. He lost every single round.
But he knocked him out.
Huh?
But he knocked him out.
He lost every single round. But it's exactly. So the capability of Fury is bigger, stronger, quicker, smarter. It's not close. It's not close.
I just want to say to Daniel. Daniel says he was too light for start. So is he going to bulk up? Wilder did bulk up actually for that fight as well. Daniel, both of them were quite heavy.
Can I ask Bertram one question? Can Deontay Wilder knock out Tyson Fury?
He can knock out Anthony Joshua. He has no chance against Tyson Fury. He hit him with his best punch.
No.
Late in the fight. Wait. Best punch.
Answer the question.
Answer
the question.
No.
Can Deontay Wilder knock out Tyson Fury?
I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
He got him down twice in the same fight. Wait.
Hold on. What happened in the 12th round of the first fight?
Right, I was hoping you was going to say that in the first fight.
So what are you trying to say? Man, I knock you out, but I didn't knock you out, and you got up by the grace of God.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping you was going to say that in the first fight. Tyson Fury's mental part of his mind was completely gone. He wasn't 100% in his mind. We all know that. That's not an excuse. We just know that from the mental issues that he was suffering with. Yeah, that I'm only going from what he said in the post fight, and another thing as well. He was lighter in that fight. In this fight, and I'm just going from what he says, Tony. Tony, it's not my opinion. I'm just going from what he says. So he says in this fight. Hold on, Tony. Let me just say it, and then I'll hand over to you. He says in this fight that he was mentally stronger and he was bigger and heavier. And that's what was able for him to suck up the punches. Go on, Tony.
Okay. Let me tell you a short analogy. Yeah? A good big un beats a good little un. Yeah? That's what happened in the last fight. Yeah? Tyson Fury mentally was on point for the first fight. His demons with his mind had gone. Those were things that were happening in the previous 2 or 3 years prior to that fight. He had 2 tune-up fights, and then he fought Deontay Wilder. When he walked into the ring, he was having no psychological issues. Yeah. So don't say, "Oh, well, he got knocked out because he was having demons." He wasn't. He was totally on point.
Tony, I'm only going by what he said. I'm only going by what he said.
No,
I'm not disputing what you're saying at all, Tony. I'm just quoting him.
Okay. At the end of the day, wait. Yeah, you're trying to say that his punch resistance is different because he weighed different amounts. At the end of the day, yeah, when Manny Pacquiao walks in the ring, he's normally a stone lighter than somebody else, yeah? Because don't forget, Manny Pacquiao started his career as a featherweight. And he's fought up to middleweight and beat people. Yeah? Now, I know this is a difference, but Deontay Wilder will knock out a MF in a heartbeat. Yeah? Tyson Fury did well in the second fight because Deontay Wilder, as you said, was looking at the home run and completely negating the boxing ability that he had, albeit not as good as Tyson's, but he completely negated boxing for the home run. But the point is, Deontay Wilder already knows, knock this guy down. Yeah? So if I get him a bit earlier, I can knock him out. You don't lose that punching ability. George Foreman is a knockout artist extraordinaire. One of the greatest knockout artists ever. It didn't matter whether you were 3'6", 7'10", 205 pounds, or 350 pounds. He would knock you the MF out.
But he couldn't knock out Ali.
Until he met his kryptonite.
Yeah.
There's always a kryptonite for everyone.
He couldn't beat a boxer.
And Ali was his kryptonite.
Yeah.
When he punched Ali on the rope and Ali says, "I'm not going anywhere," he lost his mind. He lost his sense of thought.
And that's what I think
he lost all faculties.
That's what I think is going to happen in the next fight.
Wilder has no fear for Fury. Has no fear for Wilder. No fear at all.
Tell me who knocked out Muhammad Ali?
Fraser.
No one.
No.
He was stopped by Larry Holmes, but no one even knocked him out. He was stopped by Larry Holmes because he's old.
Nobody
no one knocked him out.
Nobody knocked out Larry Holmes. Nobody knocked out Muhammad Ali.
Oh, Muhammad
He's
Ali.
got one of these.
Yeah.
He got a granite chin.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say Tyson Fury? Is Tyson Fury got a granite chin?
Who was knocked out Fury?
He must have, because he got up in the 12th.
Fury?
He must have, because he got up in the 12th round of the first round.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have a granite chin.
I thought Fury is undefeated, right?
Yeah, I think
Fury's undefeated. Is he undefeated?
Yeah, Fury took Wilder's shots really well in the last fight, Tony. Fury took Wilder's shots really
Tony,
well.
Fury beat up Wilder. He actually beat him up. This is not. He beat him up. He looked pitiful.
I'm not saying he didn't.
And he was pitiful. He should not fight him a third time. Take the money. We're losing you. We're losing you, Tony. We're losing you. You've lost your boy.
If you come to me, if you tell me that Fraser knocked out Muhammad Ali, that tells me you don't know your boxing. I'm an expert.
He did knock him down.
Yeah.
He knocked out Muhammad Ali.
Who?
Fraser knocked him down.
Did he knock him out? Did he knock him out?
No, but he knocked him down.
He knocked him down.
Just like Wilder knocked down Fury, he knocked him down. Yes, he knocked him down.
Yeah. He knocked him down.
Who knocked out? Who knocked
him down? I actually know my boxing, actually. I know my track and field. I know my boxing. I know my cricket. I know my football. I know my basketball. Okay. I know them all. We can talk about Tendulkar. We can talk about Kohli. We can talk about Gale. We can talk about Bolt. We can talk about any of those things. I'm a sports fanatic.
All right, Bertram, I think there's a bit of delay on Tony's mic. Yeah, go on, Tony.
Okay. Who's the heaviest puncher in the heavyweight division?
Ernest Shavers was the heaviest puncher way back when. Ernest Shavers was the heaviest puncher, the hardest puncher ever. Ernest Shavers. Right. Ernest Shavers was the heaviest puncher ever.
Why didn't Ernest Shavers knock out Muhammad Ali?
Nobody knocks out Ali.
Ali's just we're talking about that. See, this is the thing, man.
Wilder doesn't have that chin. Wilder doesn't have that chin.
Yeah,
Ali had skills. Ali had skills.
I think Tyson Fury
doesn't have that chin either.
Look, Tony,
Tyson
you said yourself. Tony, you said yourself that Tyson Fury is the best boxer in the heavyweight division. Yeah, and that's and Wilder has to go against that. Wilder's got to go against the best boxer in the heavyweight division. Somebody who
he's the best fighter. He's not the best boxer. A boxer suggests somebody's going to point you. He's the best fighter, meaning he can beat you either way. He can beat you by knocking you out. He can beat you.
That's what he's going to do. Listen, don't be surprised.
He's the best overall fighter.
Every time we've bet against Tyson Fury, he's proved us wrong. In the third fight, what do you think he's going to do?
I'm never bet against. I bet against him in the last fight. Anyway, the point is, Wilder can knock out Fury. If you don't think that's a possibility, if you don't think that's a possibility, then you must have missed round 12 of the first fight.
No,
where he was clean out.
Yeah, I didn't.
Tony, that's not what we're saying, Tony. No, Tony, that's not what we're saying. We're saying the probability is that he will not beat Fury because Fury is just a better fighter. We're not saying you can't knock him out, but when you have a punch, when you're one puncher, of course you knock anyone out at any point in time.
Is the probability zero?
No,
it's not. It's not zero.
Thank you.
It's like 5.
Thank you. That's all I've got to say. That's all I've got to say. Yeah. That's all I've got to say.
He's got a puncher's chop.
It's not zero.
But Tony,
if he was fighting
Tony,
say that again.
If he worked on that combination punch and fought his game, if he had a plan, then he would be able to fight Fury better. But I don't
care what plan he has.
Don't know whether
I don't care what plan he has.
Because Tyson Fury,
as Tyson says, you have a plan until you get hit. You have a plan until you get hit.
Look how much body shots Wilder took to the gut. They just wore him down. His legs was already gone. And he took them body shots, and he was leaning on them in without leverage. He was just. And the thing is, Fury is willing to go with you 12 rounds every single time. Wilder's got a lot of work to do to change that, man. He's got a lot of work to do.
I want Joshua against Fury. I don't see a Wilder Fury anymore. We have seen enough. I want Anthony Joshua against Fury. That's what we want to see.
Why are you asking for Joshua? Why are you asking for Joshua? Who's got more chance?
Because we've seen the Wilder Fury fights already. He lost twice. No, he lost twice.
Oh, right. And what just happened to what just happened to Joshua against a guy called Ruiz?
That was their second fight. So that you should have a trilogy for. That's a trilogy you should have.
Everyone's got a puncher's chance. Tony, Emery has said Wilder has won 2 or 3 rounds out of their 19 rounds in 2 fights. Completely just outboxing him.
Actually, Wilder's won 2 rounds out of the last 27 rounds he has fought. Because he lost all 8 rounds apart from when he won.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Against Ortiz. So he hasn't won too many rounds.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's a one-puncher.
He's got an uphill battle, man. For me, he's got to go a long way back because, Tony, these bad habits that Wilder has picked up has gone for a while. He'll really have to go into...
And he's 34.
Yeah, he'll have to go. He'll have to go 5, 6, 7 years back, Tony.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic. You seem to have a problem with age. Like, because you're so old, you don't...
I just said Aubameyang can play 5 years. No,
I think you're too old. You don't realize 34 ain't old anymore. Yeah? Oh, Bernard Hopkins was the world champion at 50 years old. You don't seem to understand. Age ain't nothing but a number.
Yeah. Bernard Hopkins is an aberration. He's an aberration. He's an aberration. He's not the norm. I'm not saying people don't play longer and last longer in today's environment. I'm saying Wilder cannot beat Fury, even when Fury's 90 years old, he still can't beat him.
Okay, so guys, listen, guys, we're gonna have a top up now. So Fury Wilder, 3rd fight is on. Who is going to win that fight? Give me your choice. And sorry for the guys who have just joined the chat. We had finished we started at 8 o'clock today, and we finished talking about our football after an hour and 45 minutes. So we're just closing up on the Wilder Fury. For any of you who have come in late and you're confused about why we're talking about boxing, that's because football podcast is over, done, finished about 20 minutes ago, and we're just having some boxing banter at the moment. So guys, who's gonna win and how are they gonna do it? And you guys in the chat, same thing with you. Who's gonna win the Wilder Fury 3rd fight? Who's going to win? Bertram, you go first. Who's going to win?
I'm not paying for it. It's not worth it. It's a waste of time. He's going to beat him again for the 3rd time. Unequivocal. In fact, it's going to be worse this time because now Fury's into the fold. His body's now getting used to fighting again. He's fought Wilder twice. He's beat him by boxing him, and he's beating him by just fighting him and beating him up. He's confident in himself that Wilder cannot beat him. He has no respect for Wilder. He knows he has a punch, but he's bullying him. And when you can bully someone that way, there's no way he can beat Fury. Fury fought Klitschko, and I thought he was poor in that fight, and he won easily on points.
Yeah.
But I wasn't impressed with Fury then.
I watched the fight again last week. I watched the Klitschko fight last week with Fury.
Klitschko didn't touch him at all, but he didn't do much either. There were 2 around crashing around each other, weren't doing anything.
Klitschko was so frustrated, and the one thing I noticed, Klitschko's face was as beat up as Wilder's face was. It just beat up, just these mumps coming out of his face because Fury's
a much better boxer than people give credit for. Much better boxer, much better fighter, and he realized that Wilder is one-dimensional and cannot beat him. He has no respect, no fear. In fact, Fury probably love to fight him again because he can't beat him.
So Bertram, what's your prediction for fight 3?
5 rounds this time.
5 rounds, TKO?
Yeah.
Okay, 18 is going. Yes. 18 is going with Fury in the 7th knockout. Eusebio, nice see you in the chat room, mate. He's going for a Fury 3rd round knockout. Tony, handing this one to you. Oh, Vlogs is going for 8th round knockout as well. Tony, over to you. You got the conch.
You can't cut me like this. I'm sorry, but you're giving me like a small microcosm of time to explain my rationale.
No, bro, okay? You got as much time. The show's over. We're talking about boxing now. You got as much time as you want.
Try to defend it indefensible. Go ahead, Tony. Try to defend it.
At the end of the day, yeah, I'm a boxing aficionado. I don't predict fights 3 months before they take place in general. Yeah. Especially where I feel that both combatants have got a lot to do to overcome the other one's capabilities in that time. And if you fought a guy twice and you've seen two different results, you can see the third. In my estimation, what people have seen of Deontay Wilder, most people do not understand that Deontay Wilder has boxing skills. So I see enough people coming up on this live comments saying AJ can't box, Deontay Wilder can't box. Well, if you don't think either of them can box, and them men have had world titles for years, yeah, not like 2 minutes, for years, yeah, and you think they can't box, I tell you what, that shows me you don't know enough about boxing to come and test a man like me, who's an expert in analyzing boxing. All right, men like you come and say like, oh, it can only go one way. It can only go one. There's more ways to skin a cat than to just go and throw the right hand. And what you have to understand is Deontay Wilder is a clever guy. He wasn't clever enough in the second fight to do what he needed to do, but I believe he's a clever guy. He will come out in the third fight and he'll show people who went, you got no chance. He'll show people. Now, does that mean to say I'm picking Deontay Wilder to win it? It doesn't. What it means is I'm gonna wait till the day I each other up on the day before the fight. I'm gonna make my choice, just the way I did the first fight, just the way I did the second fight. I like to see what people do in training. I like to see what they do in their sparring, and I like to see what the corners are saying and make my strategy, my decisions based on some of those things. But I don't, at this point in time, just write off Deontay Wilder and say, oh, he's got no chance. This is going to be a 3-round blowout. Because I'll tell you what, Tyson Fury really does not hit that hard. Yeah?
Okay.
If Deontay Wilder really was... Hang on, let me finish. If Deontay Wilder was really leg weakened, yeah, it may not have just been the suit. There may have been other things that counted on in there. Then there's a reason why he went down as quickly as he did. And if you look from round 2 or 3, his legs were gone. His legs were not on. He was not on solid legs. So all I'm going to say is, and then, by the other thing that somebody else commented, oh, Deontay Wilder doesn't do leg work. He's 6'7". What do you think he's going to have? Tree trunk legs? If you look at Tyson Fury, he's got the same kind of build of legs. Yeah, those guys, they do their leg work. Yeah. So there's no like, oh, he doesn't do leg work. He doesn't do. Look at the guy's body. He's a specimen. He's a 6'7" specimen. He's a LeBron James. Yeah.
Who can't
But
box?
So I'll say this. When you walk down, when you walk down a puncher, when a fighter walks down a puncher, he has no respect for him. When Leonard fight during the second time, he frustrated him.
Yeah,
stayed away from him, boxed him.
That's what
he can't do anything. When you decide, that'd be like Leonard walking down Duran. The Duran would love that. Wilder didn't love being walked down by. Wilder got some of his own medicine.
Yeah.
He's used to bullying people, knocking them out. And Fury said, you know what? I'm going to intimidate the hell out of you. I'm going to walk you down. I am confident. I can box you. I can hit you.
I think that
he bullied him.
I think that's the biggest thing that was the change in that fight, Tony. The biggest thing was that Wilder was always imposed themselves walking forwards in his fights, and he's never been pushed back. He's never been on his back foot. This is the first time I've seen Wilder on his back foot, and he really didn't know. People can talk about footwork and whatever, but when you're being pushed back and you're taken out of your stance.
You clearly didn't watch the Ortiz fight then, if this is the first time you've seen him on his back foot, because that's what Ortiz did all of the second fight.
Ortiz pressured him. Yeah,
I'm not talking about the Ortiz fight because he's not going to fight Ortiz again. He's going to fight Tyson Fury again. So I'm talking about the third fight now. So for me, as I said earlier on, Wilder would not have taken this fight if he had not watched the footage and realized that he'd need to go back to a few basics and work on his combination punches through his right. I think that that's what they're going to do. I think that's the only plan that they have. And with boxing comes a lot of planning, a lot of training. And I think that his corner has looked at that with him, and because he said he's obviously said, how am I going to beat this guy? If that wasn't the argument, then there would be no agreement for a third fight. He would not have taken a third fight. He has taken the fight, and the reason why he's taken it is because he's found a way where he can win. And so I'm not going to discount the fact that Wilder doesn't have a chance. I think he does have a chance because he's going to come in with a plan. However, I just think that I think that Fury is just the best boxer, and I think he's getting better. And I think that he hasn't even, it's not like he won by a slim margin against Fury. He's beaten him in both fights.
So Tony,
yeah, regardless of the result of the first
you.
fight. But hold on, sorry, I just want to take a touch on a point where Tony said. Tony said that Wilder doesn't hit heavy. Well, he doesn't need to. If you look at Klitschko's face and you look at Wilder's face, those guys were beaten up. Like when you take a guy in the alley and beat him so bad that bumps start to show in his face. That is what that Fury can do to a man. That's what he has done to 2 world champions. 2. So the fact that you're saying he's not a hard puncher, well, you know yourself, out of all of us 3 here, you've got more boxing experience. You should know yourself that when guys are tuned in on that level, yeah, and I made also comparisons with Fury's body shots. And people who don't understand boxing wouldn't tell you that. Yeah, as I said, I've got experience in boxing. I know when a fighter has a plan and he's putting a fight together, those things, what I saw from Fury was consistent with somebody trying to wear his opponent down. And that's exactly what he did. Those body shots he took to the side were pulverizing. Forget what he did to his face. He beat him up. Face, body, heart and soul. Wilder was broken. So I'm happy the fact that Wilder came in and accepted the fight, because it tells me he's ready to take this up a level. And I'm interested to see how he's going to do that in the third fight. But for me, I'm going with Fury TKO in the 8th.
So Tony, as a fighter, and you're a fighter, as you said, you're a fighter. If you're fighting an opponent who's just better than you and just beat you up, you go with a plan, right? You have a plan. You know what you're going to do. You know what your strategy is. But that plan get destroyed because the person is just better. They are just fundamentally better. Nothing you can do about it. Whether it's sports or life, that's how life is. And what I've seen from Wilder and Fury is that Fury is just overall a better, whether it's won a box or if and he proved the second fight that he can also hit and hit hard. And Wilder has felt it. And bullies don't like to be bullied. Wilder's bullied every fighter until he fought Fury.
Yeah, I agree.
And Fury didn't protest the draw the last time. You know why? Because he probably left saying, you know what? This is easy. It's like taking candy from a baby.
But Bertram,
and he took the candies, by the way.
Bertram,
Okay,
as I said,
can I respond?
Bertram,
Can I respond? Can I respond? Can I respond?
Yeah, go on, Tony.
Let me respond. Okay, so let me give you a scenario of a bully getting bullied in a first fight and then reversing it in a second fight. Do you remember when Sugar Ray Leonard was getting bullied all over the place by Thomas Hearns?
Yeah, Hitman Hearns.
And then he came back and he knocked him out in the 15th round.
Yeah, I mentioned that before.
Sugar Ray went on. Yeah. No. You didn't mention the Hearns fight.
I did. I mentioned the Hearns and the Hagler. I mentioned the Hearns and the Hagler fight.
Right.
He mentioned the Hearns. He mentioned it.
Right.
He mentioned the Hearns. But guys, you're comparing a boxer with a punch to just a puncher. You can't compare Leonard to anyone. Leonard's like a Holly. Leonard has those capabilities like Ali. Great chin, great hands, fast hands.
Tommy Hearns.
All right, Bertram, hold on. Yeah, go on, Tony.
But Tommy Hearns is the one-punch knockout artist, yeah? And Sugar Ray is the boxer. I'm the boxer. I can move and slip and move and do all these things and do the Ali shuffles and throw the bolo punches because I'm Sugar Ray Leonard. But I'm Tommy Hearns. I just knock motherfuckers out. Yeah? I've knocked out Duran. You went 15 rounds with Duran. I knocked him out. Yeah? So what happened when they fought? The bully got bullied. Leonard dealt with him 15 rounds, although he was getting a beating on the second time around. Tommy Hearns had his legs. And guess what Tommy Hearns did? He battered Sugar Ray Leonard from pillar to post. It was scored a draw. Yeah. But let's be honest, if you watch that fight,
it wasn't a draw.
Sugar Ray Leonard got his ass handed to him on a plate by Tommy Hearns.
I agree. But
Tommy Hearns was more than a puncher. Tommy Hearns had a great jab, great left. He had a great jab. He came to crunch him. He wasn't just a puncher.
But
He was a skill
Bertram, that's what I'm saying to you, Bertram. If you're in the ring and you're a puncher, it's like Joe Frazier and Mike Tyson. Being a puncher is one thing, but learning a combination set to set up, yeah, boxing's a mind game. Yeah, it's like chess. You have to be able to set up something and see if somebody's going to move their torso in a certain way to move their leverage, try and get them off foot. If you can do that, then you can work your combos to set up to think that you can, Foreman wasn't like that. Foreman wasn't a combination puncher, so he just swung wildly. Yeah, that's why Ali took the piss out of him and was saying he's just like a gorilla. He's just swinging wildly. Other fighters like Tyson and Frazier, they used combination, whether it's back, boof, they use combination punches to set up their bombs. And this is why I said to Tony that Wilder has to get back to doing that, because what he's turned into is a George Foreman. He was a combination artist, and that has gone. He ain't done that for 5 or 6 years. And so when I was explaining to Tony, as far as my knowledge of boxing goes, he would need to go back to that, and his training team would have said to him, "We told you what to do in the fight, but you thought you was the bigger man, and you thought your way was better, so you didn't listen to us. Now listen to us, yeah, and then we'll tell you how to beat Tyson Fury." I think that's what's happening right now.
Yeah,
Mark Breland for stopping the fight. Breland was a very good fighter in his day, and Breland realized that he was beaten. Breland saved him so he could fight this fight. If Breland didn't save him,
I agree.
he could not fight this fight.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So
we'll have this conversation another time, Bertram. But I believe you will see a new Klitschko, a new Wilder, in the same way we saw a new AJ in the second fight with Ruiz. Yeah? Everybody said, "Oh, but AJ can't box." Well, hang on a second. What did he just do to Andy Ruiz? He boxed his head off. Yeah.
Andy Ruiz is still eating, by the way. He's still eating.
Guys, listen, today was a fantastic session because we were able to cover all of our football for 1 hour and 45 minutes, and we were able to put in a last segment of 40 minutes with boxing, and it's fun bantering with you guys all the way through. And listen, love as always from everybody on the panel, and guys in the chat room, you are a blessing as always. So listen, we're going to leave it there, man. And thanks to Bertram, thanks to, I just realized I've left Emery's comment up there for about 10 minutes. And thanks also to Tony as well. You can find them on their banners, which is there. You can find Bertram in the 101 forums. Always happy to swap banter with you. And you can find me and Tony on Twitter as well. There's our handles. And listen, Portsmouth tomorrow night, really looking forward to it. So I'm going to get back to you on Tuesday with a nice little video, and we'll see how that works out. So thanks, guys, both. And listen, we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody. Peace out. That's 101 episode 10 done. Nice one, guys.
Night, everyone.